Hola chicos, un saludito y bienvenidos a otro directo más de Fortnite Battle Royale. Los nuevos, suscribiros al canal, dejar un buen like en el directo y se agradecería, al igual, chavales, código killer-valdez, la tienda de Fortnite. Igual que el nombre del canal, es la tienda de Fortnite. Pues dicho esto, vamos a esperar a la tienda, vamos a darle públicas, así que let's go. Sé Jimmy, crack, buenas noches, bienvenido. Dani también, sé Angelito. Pues un segundo, chicos, y estamos ready. Este por aquí. Por cierto, creo que está la FNCS-DNA. Me molaría también verla, tío. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver. Vale, ya está casi, yo creo, sí. Pues ya estaríamos, yo creo. ¿Y qué tal, chavales, ese sabadito? A Dani, Angelito. Bueno, Ángel está atareado, creo. Ya lo puse por ahí. Y lo he estado viendo, Dani, un poco, tío. He perdido early muchas, ¿no? Qué pena. Que por cierto, tío, en NA está la cosa por aquí, yo creo, ahora. Está jugando a Liz, me gustaría verle, tío. Voy a entrar a ver si están. Top 42, ¿no? Sí, pero queda mañana, Dani, todavía. A ver. Voy a echar un ojo, a ver. Ya empezó, creo. Si no me equivoco. Empezó a las 11.
We saw very early on in the very part of the first part of the game there. We saw Yomza going pretty aggressively there with DGen, and there's a vibe about these guys right now, and we saw that taking the high ground, claiming it, and making sure that they just really dug away, did not let any cease escape from that situation. And Vivid, we've got ourselves our first Victory Royale winners of the day.
Yeah, they went ahead and secured that high ground against Knifer and Bila, no other, who is actually their contested all spawn over there at that llama split. But we love to see that out of Cease and Elite. You know, we saw them in the semifinals. They came in at day 3, and they were just so consistent. They had the most placement points by far, and this game backs up how well they played in the semifinals, because they're starting strong today with a 2nd place.
Yeah, and they were playing this similar strategy, playing that low ground, playing the placement, and it works so well for them in the semis.
Yo creo un poco,
now
¿no?
it's continuing to roll. They might have
ya,
found the
formas,
secret sauce here.
We've seen a few players with a bit of that secret sauce you're talking about, the SVG, who managed to do some good things in that first game, kind of really starting to make their claim that they are here to compete for finals. Obviously, we saw obviously Miro, you know, kind of trying to clutch up when Booga went down, managing to do so and going for it like he was on a mission. But we also saw the likes of Stretch as well, using the web shooters, managing to stay in zone just about to get a few more points on the border, which is key as well. You have to do those things. One of your teammates goes down.
Ahora cuando empiece el game,
whatever is necessary to remain in the game to get those placement points.
Yeah, and this is actually why that duo is so successful.
Por cierto, al igual, chavales, somos muy pocos ahora, ¿no? Somos 4 o 5. Luego tengo que decir una cosa importantísima que se viene al canal. Para mí es muy importante, la verdad, y para vosotros al igual os va a molar, porque es una sorpresa que no lo vais a esperar, la verdad. Así que luego cuando estemos más gente, si estamos, la digo. Ahí dejo el hype. Es muy, muy, muy bueno.
Really smart play to get just a little bit more out of that.
Yeah, super smart, and we'll see tons more smart plays at the course of the next 2 days, trust us. Should we take a look at the standings, how things are after game number 1 as well, and see exactly who is at the top right now? And Vivid, we can see that DJ and Iomzo, they have started strong. 53 points right off the bat here. It is looking mighty pretty for these two.
Yeah, they did start strong, but surprisingly enough, only a 3-point lead over Shadow and OMG Me, right? Like, how did these guys get all the way up there? They have 10 eliminations, and that's, you know, contributing most of their points. 30 of the 50 points are from eliminations. We also saw Jamper and Dukes there. Dukes had, I believe it was 6 eliminations on his own, totaling 7 for that duo. 47 points, only 6 behind the lead. This leaderboard is crazy.
Yeah, that's absurd to get 10 eliminations going
Dice ojito, te ha faltado decir, se vienen cositas y no más importantes, se vienen, Dani. Es solamente una cosa, y es para el canal. Es espectacular, hermano. Dani. Espectacular.
I couldn't agree more. You know, last week we saw a season elite as well managing to qualify. They had one shot, one chance on day 3 of semi-finals, and they just rode out that storm, getting all the way through, getting their storm surge, making sure they remain in the competition for as long as possible. And you can see there on the leaderboard as well, in the top 9 teams, only 3 eliminations for those two. Everybody else is popping off and getting a lot more.
50 puntos
they came second.
Pero guapo, me ha dejado con toda la intriga, hermano.
And they know exactly
es muy potente, Dani,
Game 2 is on the horizon. It's all going to change up inevitably, because that's what happens here in this region.
Es una cosa para el canal. Y voy a darte otra pista, Dani. Tú que estás por aquí y estás solo. No hay mucha gente. Es para el canal y para utilizarlo todos los días, bro.
Thank you
o sea, en mis
much,
directos
Adam,
todos los días.
SBG, and with just one match down, we already see what the leaderboard kind of looks like. And I want to say, man, if I could, I don't want to say like second prediction, but I could talk about OMG Me Too and Shadow all day, because they've been such an interesting storyline coming through the qualifiers, and they're putting
es el segundo game, sí. Llevan 40 minutos. Luego te mando una foto del prototipo y el producto final. Ojo, Angelito. Vale, bro. Luego mándamela. ¿Lo tuviste que hacer de nuevo o qué? Vale, vale, creo que sé por dónde vas.
Time now, right? Just the same way like Pam and Thatch, just coming on up and, you know, getting their stripes in, basically getting their reps in.
Os lo digo que, chavales, ¿quién está por aquí? Si estamos pocos, lo digo. Somos 3, ¿eh? Está Ángel, Dani, Jimmy, ¿estás por ahí? Ese Mini. Y el Mini también se va a enterar.
There's no safety in where they're landing, and let's just talk about Covert Cavern, right? Highly contested as well. So that whole
¿Quién hay por el chat? A ver, está Mini, Dani, Jimmy y Ángel, ¿no? Estáis los 4. Okay. Pues ahora lo vamos a decir, antes de que se entere nadie ya, menos más gente. Mira, 2 ha bajado. Mini asoma la cabeza que Mini, vamos a hacer, bueno, nos van a hacer una cosa súper buena que para mí me hace mucha ilusión, al igual para el canal. Yo siempre lo he querido, aunque no tengo muchos seguidores y no soy muy grande ni nada de eso, pero yo siempre he querido tener una canción del canal, ¿no? Para yo iniciar el directo y poner una canción del canal, una canción así como la que tengo ahora puesta, pero que siempre he utilizado, pero también la puedo utilizar todo el mundo, ¿vale? Pues nos van a hacer una canción, ¿vale, chicos? Sobre mi canal y sobre mí. Nos van a hacer una canción sobre mí, sobre el canal y sobre Fortnite, y hablando también de mi vida personal. O sea que se viene algo muy, muy tocho. Y para completar, ¿quién la va a cantar esa canción? Para mí es muy importante, la verdad. Para mí es muy, muy importante quién la va a cantar. Porque esa canción, ya estuve hablando ayer con él por correo electrónico, y a ver si luego puedo hablar por Facebook también con él, porque me va a crear la canción. Ayer estuve hablando y quiere creármela para ayudarme, y es súper buen tío, y a lo mejor vosotros no lo conocéis, pero a lo mejor sí, ¿sabes? Es el papá, es el padre de Tommy 11, chileno, Vicente Blanch, es cantante al igual, autocompositor, el hombre, y canta súper bien, y un tema, un rollo de música también, tanto vocalmente cantando él como música, que también toca guitarra y eso, y nos va a hacer el hombre una canción para el canal, así que estoy totalmente orgulloso de él, de su familia y del gran Tommy, que el paz descanse. ¿Cómo os quedáis, chavales? Ni os lo pasabais por la cabeza, bro. Señor Don Vicente Blanch, qué crack.
this is a different drop. Okay, so Yamzo and Degen actually mixing up the drop, not necessarily landing where we thought.
Bro, estás de coña, te lo juro, Dani, bro.
It's just an early rotate on out.
No shot they did. No chili chuck splashes.
Así que se viene una canción tocha para el canal, la utilizaré luego cuando nos vayamos a Twitch también, para todos mis directos, así que se viene algo tocho.
Right into the box of Crunchy. That was so smooth. Monster, I almost missed that. He hopped right on through the box.
Al igual, si queréis ver cómo canta el hombre o el tipo de música que hace, cualquier cosa, buscar en YouTube Vicente Blanch. Blanch con B. Es el papá de Tommy 11, loco. Súper buena persona el hombre, tío. Y además me quiere ayudar y me ha dicho que para él también es una ilusión. Así que mira, tío. Pues perfecto. Para mí es un honor, tío, llevar su música antes de iniciar el stream, la verdad. Wow, le entraron a saco. Hostia, dice, guau, dice Dani. ¿Qué os parece, chavales? Dame vuestra opinión.
Just off the mark of where they wanted to be, considering they had all end games last time.
Yeah, but they're going to need to be able to put it all together.
Al igual, él no cobra nada, lo hace por ayudar, por simplemente ayudarme a mí y ayudar a la comunidad y a la gente que streamea, o sea que es súper buena onda el hombre. Muy buena persona, bro. Vamos a ver. Vamos a ver también lo que puede tardar el hombre y en cuanto la tengamos, pues ahí va, chavales.
So we're going to swing on over to what was arguably a lot of people's favorites for NA East at the start of the season. Scented and Cold on the top of the screen have kind of cooled off a little bit towards the back half.
I like this, though. I like that they went back to Sleepy Sound, gave up the whole, Covert Canyon. Covert Canyon is just a hot mess right now. You do not want to be a part of that. I don't even know what to call it, dude. It's just a melting pot. There's too many teams there, too many different.
¿Y qué hacéis, chavales? ¿No hay nadie jugando o qué? Dani, Mini, Jimmy. ¿Os queréis unir aquí al lobby conmigo o qué, chavales? Así no estoy solo, como queráis. Si os queréis unir, Dani, Mini, quien esté por ahí. Vamos a ver un poquito esto, ahora le damos una partida, bro.
You talk about big vets, 20 combined finals appearances, but somebody who's been having this duo is really strange to me because they have such a disproportionate early game success.
Mini está desconectado y el Dani no está, ¿no? ¿Tú no estás, no, Dani?
Creo que no. Get a little bit of a rewind to the beginning of this fight and see how Larson and Smite were able to pick up these two elims. Like when they have been able to transition it over, they're able to win games. Like they're able to put up points. It's just that something goes on and there's a disconnect. And generally, teams don't have to work on their mid game, especially if you have such a strong early game, like we've seen from them. But it's just not happening today, as you can see.
Y al igual no había leído tu comentario, Angelito. Que mucha suerte en los exámenes, tío. Dale caña, bro.
But it looks like they gave that up to allow another team to land there and then came back down here where they were fighting Dubs and Mega in the qualifiers. And they had a lot of success, like you mentioned. That Victory Royale being one of those different factors for them. But yeah, most teams normally do very good if they make to end game, right? And early game and Storm Surge is the hard part. For Smite and Larson, that is not the case. It's the opposite. I want to see exactly just that. What is it that they need to continue to improve on? Because if they can find the fix there, they're going to be off to being one of the scarier teams throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, now we're going to swing on over. G2 Jock and Illust in a fight. It's Twix and Chubbs directly above them, trying to get the pressure down, going to end up boxing up together, making sure they're min-maxing their shields effectively. You want to avoid end up using chili chug splashes in the early mid-game, unless you have to, because there's such a strong rotation tool on top of being able to give you HP or shields. But now, as we look in with our Game 1 winners, they're in an awful spot. Yamzo, no builds whatsoever to his name. He is screaming for DJ to get to him and help, because he needs to catch somebody off guard. He hits a huge shot onto Milks, backs him down completely. That was 92, but he's going to get taken down and finish before DJ can end up closing the gap.
Le quedan 88, quedan muchos todavía. Qué locura, tú.
Another duo is rotating in. You can see them on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. That's 20, and they're getting a little bit of revenge for what happened in match number 1, Monster.
Yeah, definitely, and DJ has to be careful. The shots come in. He gets hit up in the process there. Now down to just wood builds. This is looking all too scary for our number 1 seeded team here. And this is rough. On the run they go. It's not looking too hot, but a great counter tag there. 77, 125 to finish the knock. DGen is just on fire here. Can he get the finish at least? It will be huge here. And this is an opportunity. No, the left peek, and he just jumped on the ramp. He could have actually had it. So close yet so far. And just like that, DGen y Yamzo now taken out.
Al igual, chicos, subid la calidad en directo porque se ve un poquito raro, tío. A mí también se me pone baja, no sé por qué.
They get to the llama first. You saw the hot info come in there, and that means they were forced out.
Kill, ¿cuántas coronas tienes? Creo que 66 o 67, Jimmy.
Really good job and good composure to be able to stop for a second, get the Mitro stair flip, the Mongrel stair flip, the Kuna stair flip.
Vamos a ver si llegamos a la 100, ¿eh? Va a estar difícil.
Let's be honest, they were doing it first and able to kind of hit that right-handed shot coming through. So you can see Chubbs and Twix boxed up directly on top of Illis and Jock. But the thing is, too, if both of these teams already have Surge and they feel pretty comfortable in their tags, there's no reason for them to fight each other.
¿Está aburrido y eso, Jimmy? Únete si quieres, bro. Vamos a ver esto un ratillo, a ver qué pasa. Si os queréis unir a alguno, lo he dicho Jimmy, tú, Dani, Mini, si os queréis unir, aquí estoy, bro.
Let's just shoot at everyone else, and we kind of see these little factions end up building up. That's why people will build these apartment buildings, because there's a little bit of a strength in numbers. You never want to be that odd duo rotating in like Day and Clicks might have sought out right there.
Yeah, Day and Clicks are just aggressive to any duo that rotates in their general vicinity here. Looks like they have done another coastal rotate and just, again, looking to fight anyone that decides to rotate.
Dice, vale, me meto Fortnite, claro. Me uniró, bro.
Look at this. They sort of get the
Cuando estéis, decírmelo y os invito.
Right on top of them, just more teams nearby. They're just swinging out, taking any of these gunfights here. No one's willing to challenge them, though. That was Beef and Nick on the rotate right there, trying to get to the zone. On the other side, OMG Meat and Shadow here are basically.
Pues todo bien, Jimmy. Como siempre, bro.
As far as the next team that can strike for first right now.
Se terminó el 50% del proyecto, ahora colorear. No tengo que dejar ningún espacio en blanco.
Coming into the day before we saw some of the changes in the drop map, we could have said we're just GG. Hey, good job making it to the final.
Es un chaval responsable, tío.
And go next, because it looks like there was going to be 3 teams down at that turbine, which has a spot that has a decent amount of loot and good access. It's not central to the map. There's not just a ton of loot. It's pretty solid for duos, and a lot of contention out of that area when you have 2 strong teams in Greasy who resolve their fights quickly can be rough, but. You know, so far, really putting their names on the map yet again with a solid match number 1 performance. But we'll see.
Dice, ahora vuelvo, me llama mi madre.
With a relatively south central zone, it should be pretty free rotations for them. So as long as they're good on Surge, I anticipate we might see them in the end game again.
Que no hemos fijado el mensaje que he puesto yo antes, ¿no?
Base next door is actually sent it as well. He was kind of breaking open the line of sight. Wasn't afraid of a counter edit on the other side. So that's just like, you know, putting up the little fake base there, kind of old strategy, but still
scarecrows.
Very effective. Yeah, little scarecrows in the general area. Take a look here. Buzz is going to find himself a nice little hidden chest here. See what comes out of it. Nicely done. Some extra minis for the road here. He was probably hoping for some med miss or some extra whites, as he only has a med kit to work with here. And Avery off, just making his way to new zone. Tough for them.
Están bien en zona, El Averi y el otro. Dice, ventajas de estar en una de las 3 secundarias mejores de Jalisco. Son muy exigentes. No he jugado a Fortnite en toda una semana. Creo que voy a estar muy frío. Qué grande, Ángel. No pasa nada, bro, pero al igual estás frío en el Fortnite, pero estás caliente en los estudios y en tu futuro, Ángel, tío. Y si estás en una de las escuelas mejores de Jalisco, aprovechalo, Angelito, tío. Que seguro que hay gente que no podrá estar ahí, ¿sabes? Así que aprovechalo a tope, tío. Que yo creo que tú te dejas ahí la piel, Ángel. Yo creo que tú eres buen estudiante. Están 88, bro. Y están bajo, están below. Le va a caer rayo ya. Por eso van a rushear. Que eso te pone nervioso, estar below. Tienes que buscar ya, tío. 18 ahí, ojo. Está arriba. Qué suerte,
Yeah, this is a great sightline because they didn't have to invest their brick to end up building up on top of this. This was already here, so it's just a couple wooden ramps. But, like, there is no reason they should have been able to get tags on that side as we keep an eye in the bottom left-hand corner. I think one of the biggest things is if you're rebooting, no matter what, even if you are in a great position, you get somebody up, you're going to struggle with Surge unless you're able to full wipe that team you were against and get all of it.
Dice, no sé, pero cada vez que aprendo algo, mi cerebro siente como pasa sangre con mi información. Eso es porque eres listo, Ángel.
Claro. Zoom in with them. They're 198 below, and that's not really something you can make up with AR. So at this point, Monster, you need to get on your horse and you need to go.
And they've been doing that. They've been literally trying to soldier their way, march their way forwards right now. It's not looking too hot, though. Here it is. They get pressured in, shut down, and backed up. Nico goes down and full finish.
Había que poner en el título Big Win Party, yo creo.
Muzz and Avery, I have to assume, are just absolutely struggling right now. Definitely as the Surge is active here, and they're just approaching from the outside of zone. Polarized now. Lobby starting to realize what's going on here. They get focused out. The Surge finishes it off. Zenkid and Cold are the ones who get the Elim points. They're huge for them. Rokane and Joji. Problem on the horizon here as well. They're trying to fire back at anyone here. I mean, open trades happening everywhere right now.
Yeah, some good shots from Rokane, but not going to be enough. Just praying that Joji continues splashing.
Sí, man, me vi un vídeo de Tony 11 la canción de Diego Vicente y Considerado. ¿En serio, Dani, hermano? Qué grande, bro. A lo mejor muchos no lo conocíais o lo conocéis de oídas o cualquier cosa, Dani, pues. Ese José, campeón de todo. Bienvenido, máquina. Buenas noches, aquí estamos, tranquilamente. Luego jugaremos más tarde, yo creo. Vamos a ver la FNCS. Ahora que están los titanes jugando hay que aprovechar a verles también. A mí me gusta jugar Fortnite, me gusta divertirme y eso y hacer directos, pero también me gusta ver a los pros, Sé qué bonito todo, qué grande, Dani. Va a estar espectacular, yo creo.
This is it right here. It's all or nothing for Joji. One more tag and he is out. He has to find one here. Will it connect through? Looks like things are going to slow down a little bit, but no. Counter shots from the base next door. End up finding the final tags. Cease and Elite, unfortunately, inside the zone right now. Having to play just barely above the surge threshold right now. It uses all their heals just to stay alive.
Y gracias por esos 6 likes, chicos. Agradezco un montón. No os he dicho nada. ¿Y cómo canta el cabrón de Vicente? Canta genial, flipas, Dani. Qué voz tiene el hombre y los cambios de tono y todo. Espectacular, hermano, Dani. Para mí es un honor y un placer, tío. El hombre puede hacer una canción impresionante, bro. Me gusta mucho crear música, hacer música. Y digo lo mismo, bro, si se lo digo que me molaría que me hiciera una canción de mi canal. Y me dice el hombre que... Vamos, buena persona, tío.
Have that best first game in the finals, or if you have the best win the first game in the finals, your follow-up game can sometimes be a little bit difficult, but right now it's not often we see pretty much the entirety of the top of the table go down early.
Yeah, and the feed is telling us even more right now. Knifer, Bila taken out there. Another team that made an end game, gone. Beef and Nick caught as well in that crazy crossfire. And all
no sé si os vais a unir o qué, Dani.
So several teams that were well within the top 15, top 10, falling out of the competition. That's going to give a lot of room for these top 20 to 30 or so players that have been just inside the game, but not quite where they need to be.
Dani no está, creo, ¿no?
End game opportunity to jump them on up.
Sí, Dani está aquí.
I can see right now some of the Storm Surge
Únete si quieres, Daniel.
Like we talked about Avery and Muzz, the reboot, they were the ones who triggered the stat coming through, but I mean, again, they didn't even win that fight off a drop in. He's trying to challenge into a full built metal wall. It's never going to go well. Redux and Savage,
¿Qué dice Dani? ¿Me escuchas o qué?
They'll be on the other end of that. They just put threats, just absolutely worked them, pushed in, and brilliantly
¿Escucha Dani ahora?
There. to you. A lot of people sleep on that striker shot, right? They want to run double S&G, but that big chunky opener, you know, before a team can even realize what's going on and react is huge. And you saw what happened just there. It was a max damage out the gate there. Senta's going to fall here on the rotate. Cold has to actually clutch up here for the save. He's going to step on in, start investing big material. In comes the rest of the opponents here. Jamper and Dukes decide to take this opportunity to go ahead and rotate on the bottom. It threats another player trying to slide in. Dukes gets brought down though. Big scare now for the duos here.
Yeah, a little bit of pincer going on in the lower part of the fight in the bottom right-hand side there. You can see Pamsa and Batch trying to get in on that action down there, but then Spade on the other side of that, putting the pressure on. We also saw Shadow end up picking up a knock in the feed in the top left-hand corner. Cold being forced to invest a ton, but Jamper going down. That's on the left side of the screen. Duke's going to be able to defend him and get one of the return eliminations. Also will get the confirm, hopefully to buy a little bit of space, but once you start shooting and people realize you're under pressure, the shots won't stop. Tons of metal invested here, but not a ton of space being bought back all the way into a corner. And finally,
wow, es que quedan 60 todavía, qué locura tú.
A little bit of room to breathe, but not before Jamper will fully.
Bien con Anónimo y todo.
It's okay. So
Chuck splash.
Yes, he has to splash there. He does get the splash as well. This is so huge. I can't believe he actually got the save there. You were calling. I was like, wait.
Anónimo 257.
That little slither of hope is going to keep Jamper in the game there. 2 elims for them. If they can get the pickup now and bounce back, which they should be able to, this is huge. Remember, they are sitting on an elimination worth of loot here. As Dukes did get that whole trade. This is a huge time now for them to start branching out here. What team is this that's pressuring them in front of them? Because these guys are giving them so much problems here. But it looks like things are going to finally slow down now.
Como si estuvieras en una cueva, pero bueno.
No, not directly. So that's going to be a wee bit rough, as you see. Left-hand side, currently 1 below 33 cold. Well, he's going to say a 33 tag will put me right up and above. That's 29 above. On the right-hand side, you can see NPen and his duo. They're below. That's 21 below. Trying to burn the minis. Just keep whatever HP NPen has in his inventory. But remember, every second you're taking a mini is a second you are not returning fire. On the top of the screen, we see Clicks take down Nick and Beef. They fall victims there as we have 2 duos who are currently under pressure from Storm Surge. The threshold is very close. Make that 1 duo now, as NPen and Zemo are the only ones taking the damage, as Cold does get picked up. That's Chimp who's able to take him down.
¿Estás por ahí, Jimmy, o está en el otro chat?
Ah, no, Hola.
Hola, Jimmy. Buenas noches. ¿Qué tal?
Bien.
¿Cenadito ya?
Sí.
Igual. Vamos a ver un poquito esto. Que digo que estabas hablando de Naco antes, ¿no? Que les han bueno, en early, ¿no? 2 o 3 veces.
Se han riseado, pero de una manera importante.
Y encima les bailaban y todos los chavales, vaya tela. Una la han hecho largas de pringado, otra no sé qué. Espectáculo, tío. Buena suerte también. La tercera creo, mira, Chris. Mira qué lutazo lleva, bro. Tiene chapas, pero no tiene mucha bala de AR.
Finally now, they are on their feet, they're in the end game, they have so much to work with here. It's their opportunity to actually jump back into this game.
And Duke's getting the full confirm there. On to Fatch. Rough first and second game there for Fatch and Pamsa, trying to make some plays happen, but believe that's them falling outside of the top 25 as we have 44 players up. We still have 26 duos on their feet, so a couple of free riders going through. I believe we got 8 solos who are running around, doing their best to try and hang into the match. As you can see right now, Duke's Jamper trying to find a little bit of space. They do have priority here on the zone. They're just going to try and walk it back out.
Lo que no sé si Alice y Pegut están jugando aquí, bro. O juegan West. Están aquí, ¿no? Creo. Buga.
It was an empty and vacant base already as teams are starting to air themselves out and get their rotates going. So nothing free here. They're going to have to go ahead and commit the peppers here for the rotate. And I like this.
Un RG no sé qué.
Bucky right now. Just barely in there, but they are definitely holding on to high. Jamper gets I was gonna say landed on by Dukes, but no, they're a teammate. They're working with each other. This is high octane, high pace rotates going in right now. Dukes is still getting active. This is the second person he catches with a full box up, but this time couldn't find the shots. Jamper though does end up exchanging. They're 1,000 damage below. They've been so good this game. Redux falls to the storm there just in the final moments, and look at this. Things are starting to go down now as the rotates are coming through.
Yeah, and there's a bounce back here. As you can see, everyone immediately turns around, and that's so big for Bucky and Cam because they already invested a sizable amount to connect this high ground. But now you can see Ages Arise. They're saying, hey, who's on up here? Is there a play to maybe be had? As they're going on up. Here they go, the G2 player trying to find a little bit of gap, but immediately Cam says, no. This is mine. Invest in the high ground. Chop comes through, and Agers gets slapped down. He says, maybe that's a little bit too many mats.
Tiene escopeta y este no, y por eso ha bajado. ¿Has visto, no, Dani? Tenía escopeta al de arriba y este no lleva y ya baja por abajo. Este ha sido el que le ha pegado escopetazo.
No tiene mucho más de los de arriba.
No lo he visto. ¿Cuántos bull tiene? No me he fijado.
15.
15.
Sí, 14 tenía, creo.
Lo tiene que ir bajando ya. Muchos de ellos llevan arpón, para pescar. Mira.
Míralo, estos pueden ir a por high de uno.
Le están tirando, Están rompiendo.
Este igual es buenísimo el G2 hacer.
Mira cómo le sube, mira Glitch cómo le sube. Y el buque este si quiere no se baja ahora. Ha dicho una polla, que es Glitch. Ya ves, es de su equipo también, Cómo la ha dejado, o sea, en RG buque tenía high y se lo deja a Glitch, ¿no? Le ve subir como una moto y se lo deja.
No, porque ya se lo había pillado y date cuenta que este tiene 3 wheels, ¿sabes? Y la ha pillado otro.
Ah, no tiene más. Este tiene 9 también, No tiene más,
Ya, pero...
Glitch tiene 9 y este tiene 11.
Por lo menos algo es algo, porque con las estructuras que hay, mira, con las estructuras que hay por lo menos aguantan.
Están súper bien. Tira fuente. Eso es. Mira Glitch arriba, bro. Es el mejor, tío. Cómo juega, bro. Qué nivelazo, tío. Tiene el chavalín, tío. Arriba él, solo, Y matando encima, mira, está saliendo la fin matando. Con tres paredes tiene tú. 3 paredes, tiene que bajar un poco ahí rampa abajo, eso es. Y ahora van a hacer la de que uno baja, Dani yo creo, y otro se va a quedar arriba con las curas.
Claro, no, el que tenga más... Claro, sí, el que tenga material y tal, uno va a bajar.
No tiene ninguno de los dos, creo, no tenían.
No, te digo por qué no van a bajar, porque quedan dos para dos, ¿sabes?
Claro, se quedan en high. Claro, buga.
Ahora es cuando tendría que bajar. ¿Ves?
Ahí baja Glitch, ahí está Glitch.
¿Ves lo que te he dicho?
Ahí está Glitch, bro.
Ahora es cuando tendría que bajar. Claro.
Nada, uno se pone en zona, no te lo creo. Nada, la gana Glitch, bro. La gana Glitch, tú, sacadote. Cómo juega el titán este, bro.
Míralo, el Arge. El Arge. Ojo que la gana el Arge este.
No.
Es que sí que puede perfectamente.
Si se mete para zona tiene acicalador. Y este no lleva curas, Si se mete para zona la gana nadie, el otro sí lleva.
Se le lía,
El Day lleva. La gana
nada.
Please. Ha saltado y la ha dado, ¿Cómo juega, bro?
Oh, so well played from Clicks and Day, but I mean, if I'm Agers, I am screaming in that moment because he had the iron walls. He could have forced them completely out. He could have trapped them out on the low ground and been a little.
Y no tenía más, y ha seguido arriba, bro. Qué loco, ¿cómo ha hecho? Por las construcciones por arriba o algo.
No, en zona.
Este tiene 11. Mira, aquí no tiene más, pero más. Ha subido, pum. Con el sufu, chaval. Ah, no, con la MK.
It may not seem like a lot, but guys, that was like some elite top-tier gameplay, some of the best duos this scene has to offer, all alive, very healthy, very matted up, big ammunition, like everything. It's like you put them in a Storm Wars game and you made them play this end game out. That was so tough. It could have went any way.
Yo pienso que tiene que ser una lotería ganar esa partida ahí con todos los que son más que nada pro player, todos los que hay. Tiene que ser suerte también ganar la partida.
Sí, pero al fin y al cabo alguien tiene que ganar.
Sí,
la
siempre
partida,
gana lo mismo, está bien, pero es difícil, es lotería.
SVG, take it away.
All right, listen up, you lot, okay? We wanted to see this in finals, that you had, like,
no sé, pero el compa llevaba 4 o 6 creo kills.
AAA duos going at it together, and that is what we got in game 2 there. It was insane. We saw Cam and Bucky on the high ground. We thought back to last week's qualifiers, thinking they had high ground a couple of times, couple of victory royales. They're clearly going to keep it to themselves, but suddenly Clix and Day doing what they did last week as well, which is reclaiming the high ground.
Lo que no sé en las anteriores partidas Clix ha hecho.
It was just an absolute wonder touch to witness that, and to bear witness to it as spectators.
En la anterior partida poco es.
Yeah, I loved right there. The last
mira, ahí 39, ¿sabes?
high caliber players. We had Dukes and Jamper versus Booga and Miro versus Aders and Rise versus
Hay 44.
and Day. It was just so amazing to watch, and all of them just going at it 2v2. But
70 y pico, yo creo.
coming out on top of
En la
that
win
simply
70,
because they found a refresh in the middle of that game and they took advantage of it. As
No,
soon as
60
they
no,
got
cabrón,
it,
¿dónde vas? 60 con mucho.
they
60 ahí,
just
míralo.
stole it right out from under Bucky and Cam, and we see it from Clix and Day all the time. They love to use their momentum against anybody that they can. As soon as they find a refresh, they instantly act on it, and that game right there was a perfect showing of why it works so well.
Yeah, those guys thrive in the chaos that is endgame, but so many of those duos picked up massive
Son 6 partidas, ¿no? 6 hoy, 6
9
mañana.
7 elim and 8 elim, and rarely do we see all of these duos. Typically, it's like one duo and then a bunch of solos navigating somewhere through that endgame, but rare option right there to see all 4 duos still up and then go head to head right at the last moment.
Yeah, I mean, we saw so many familiar. I mean, for the players as well, they saw so many familiar faces in that last, in that end game as well, because so many players have been on the same teams as each other as well, like Mira and Day there, Booger and Jamp. I mean,
Benji y Mr. Savage estaban cayendo hoy en pisos, tú.
Top of the regions
A lo tryhard.
a lot of the time, because they all seem to be there in that end game of it. It's amazing to see.
Putos locos.
Yeah, and that's why we see so many eliminations, right? Because they're all just so good. That's why we see
que al final lo que dijiste eso de que sí que pasaron los que le peleaban a
players left. They just kind of like root those solos out because they take advantage of any kind of disadvantage that other players have.
They cleaned out that lobby, and then it was just like, all right, the best of the best. Let's figure this out all between ourselves. Oh, I want to see how this plays out on the leaderboard, because that was chaos.
Totally. Let's have a look at that leaderboard right now, because
Jimmy, que no habla, está por ahí, ¿o qué?
as well. It's going to be changing up big time, and this is how it looks after game 2. Jamper and Dukes have risen to the top. 15 eliminations.
Jumper primero, tú, no ganas ni una.
Vivid,
claro, mira,
it has been a solid start from these two.
Yeah, I mean, 97 points after only 2 games.
Y Clix habiéndola ganado quinto,
I'd love to see this mechanical prowess, especially from Dukes.
Pero no me cuadran los puntos. No me cuadran los puntos.
Sí, 62.
I was like having a hard time keeping
bueno, sí. Estaba mirando otra cosa.
What's crazy is Clix and Day, obviously, not so good of a game 1, but a solid game 2, and that only puts them in that 5th position with 62 points in that victory royale. And then also DJ and Yamza with the other victory royale down there in 7th place. So far, our 2 teams that have gotten victory royales are pretty far down the leaderboard, so they have to keep consistent in how well they're playing to compete.
Lo que me fijo que tampoco hacen muchas kills,
Yeah, we saw Agers and Rise going crazy there.
Sí, lleva 15, llevan 13, pero ¿en cuántas partidas? ¿En 2, 3?
En 2.
En 2, ¿no? En media de 7 y pico. Es el primero del torneo, que tampoco matan mucho, bro. Claro, que son buenos, no te jodas. Los 100,
A ver, que eso te iba a decir, la cuenta de que están jugando los mejores contra los mejores.
The Killer tardó 11 horas en hacer el prototipo, ¿en serio, Ángel? Hostia, chaval. Pues tienes que descansar de vez en cuando, Angelito, tío. No te puedes tirar ahí 11 horas también haciéndolo de seguido.
Está loco.
Estás loco, dice Jimmy.
EU last year, a lot more aggressive right out the gate in the finals. the same thing's happening here on NAE. Game 3 is here. It's ready to roll. Let's head over to Sundown MDF to bring us all the action.
Vamos a ver. Es la tercera esta,
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and closing in on the halfway point monster, but honestly, so far, the back-to-back third-place performances coming out of Jamper and Duke. 7 elims, 8 elims. It's been a pretty solid opener.
Yeah, definitely. It's looking like EU up there with how many points, how many elims, how consistent they've been so far. If they can maintain that, I mean, they'll be shutting down this competition.
Pues lo mismo me quedo aquí de chill y luego ve a YELI y todo.
Teams in these two-day finals break away with a huge lead and play just good enough out of day 2. That's the kind of start you want. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, too, is they're balancing it out between the placements and the eliminations. And with the fact that elims are +3 per, so already getting 45 points based off of that. Generally, when you see a team towards the top who has those third place plus third place, they're really banking on that heavy consistency. And then that means for the rest of the lobby that, hey, if that team falls off, you can kind of catch up a little bit, but we don't need to catch up anymore, as we're going to hop right on in to match number 3.
Dice, jaja, que si estoy loco, tomé 3 tazas de café y tengo un tic en mi ojo.
Number 3 of the NAE's finals. Just day number 1 though, so stay with us as things are starting to heat up here. The leaderboards.
Eso es porque te gusta la chica, Ángel. En la guiña es el ojo, yo creo, No son por los cafés, Son por la chica, yo creo. En la guiña es el ojo.
The riskiest drop of any team we've seen in the top position so far of any.
Pues no toméis mucho café, Angelito. Vosotros sois todavía jóvenes, tío. Que el café de vez en cuando, bueno, no es malo, pero si abusas de él y cuando eres muy joven también es no muy bueno.
Grab one of those Stinger SMGs out and then equip it in that time. It's pretty bonkers as we're going to swing on over to Golden and Walkers, who are going to be able to take that fight here.
Se los ha fumado los dos,
on the eastern side of the map. They're going to feel good about getting that result.
Con un subfusil verde con 18 balas, tú. Se ha fumado los dos.
Igual que nosotros.
Joder, ¿Los otros que llevaban? No me he fijado. A ver, la RP. Mira, mira, cogieron su fusil. Madre mía, la que ha liado, bro, los dos. Y el compa ahí agachado, ¿sabes? Que le iban a matar. Me ocupo sacar buenas calificaciones para mi batería musical.
Yeah, keeping an eye on that top left-hand corner. We talked about not seeing a ton of them. Well, we definitely won't see him in this match as Pledge and Teo get taken down.
Huge eliminations there. They were inside the top position. That falls to the hands of Creo.
Que lo mismo tenemos aquí en el canal a un músico que el día de mañana va a ser famoso y no lo sabemos, Angelito por ahí.
I mean, look at them. Just set up pretty here. Their draw stop being the Logjam Lumberyard. And again, remember, we saw them fight DJ and Niamzo in that last game as well. They were one of the teams that rotated just into them and, you know, end up shutting some players down a little bit early. So we'll see how that ends up happening for them as DJ and Niamzo, mind you, we're in the lead coming into game 1. And they got taken out right away.
I think it largely has to do with how the zones pulled.
Donde hay mucha afición a la música. Aquí en España es en Valencia, bro. En Valencia suelen estar los mejores músicos de España y incluso del mundo también. En Valencia hay mucha afición a la música.
People don't realize how efficient metal farming on these roofs are in a lot of circumstances. Unfortunately, Clicks falls down there. He's going to have to burn some materials to go up. As we are now going to swing on over to the covert cavern, as you can see. Pop trying to put some shots down. Him and Nosh, that's going to be their second elimination coming through, and Muzz and Avery end up getting full cleaned up there. So we're going to take a look at some of the other off-spawn action we might have
missed. En Europa estaba cayendo aquí en la gruta, estaba cayendo de baila, que tóxico. La gruta estaba cayendo a Nas, creo, antes, en Europa.
On the other side of Creo, remember, they did just find these elims. They ended up clutching this battle up. That's what we saw inside the feed. Huge eliminations onto Pledge there. But now, in the action here, Nosh and Pate also just a full finish there.
Yeah, that was the last fight that we saw, so we'll swing right back on over to them. They do currently have control of the cavern. Doesn't look like they have control of that Valky, though, based
En
off
verdad
of the
está más o
note
menos
right
igual
after I say that. I lied,
de
Nosh
esta
was
que
team
de
there.
en las dos regiones.
Sí, pero es que mira el Mero y Búa que caen en Chonker. Están free, tío.
No está haciendo piss control, ¿sabes cómo va el juego? Madre mía.
And Serbsky under a little bit of pressure, opting to drop
perdón.
down, trying to find an angle, but he says,
Blanco
hello, I will join you in the water. Is the temperature nice as he greets him with a nice little shotgun shot, backs him up.
Pero tú se está motivando mucho que está una vida, ¿sabes?
Blanco,
Míralo.
Will get the white tag and should finish that one out. Cinnaruni doing his best, but really just flopping around out there.
Yeah, that was just a wild play by Cinny at the high ground. He just jumped off.
Pues ya llevan surf, los chavales.
Panic type situation. You're in the 2v1. You commit on the first thing you see. He couldn't quite finish the deal there. What I did notice up at the llama split, though, it does seem like it was Knifer and Bila in the peripheral there who managed to maintain control there again, too.
Se tienen que ir para atrás esos.
Yamzo and DJ in the feed, so I'm curious to see what kind of temperature.
I think they dipped.
They've been pushed out a few times.
Ya que están cabezonados. Que no llevan kills, ¿sabes? Estos tienen que hacer daño. Por eso están cabezonados, mira, 32, 32. Claro, están cabezonados en eso.
Pero se tendría que ir ya.
Para sacar sus.
Se tendría que ir ya porque mira dónde está el Jess este. O sea, de su compañero.
¿Están muy separados o qué?
Sí, estaban muy separados. Cada uno se va a quedar piqueando y el otro se ido para atrás. Como le vayan esos dos les del venazo, se le jode la partida.
Good on them, currently still sitting in 7th after that little bit of a dud of game number 2, but we've seen them where as long as they're able to kind of get off of that early game situation monster, they end up having a good result. So as of now, I would consider this kind of like checking off that first little check kind of go through as you try to make it through the game. Somebody who's trying to settle out the fight that we saw in the first game going on just to the north over by these Doxus 20 and reciprocal against Milks and Rhythm.
Yeah, it's not looking too hot for any of these teams right now. They're way up north here. Zone already starting to slide a little bit down here, but Rhythm and Milks are so split up. The Mythic Spider Hands come into play here as they try to slam on into Rhythm, but no, don't quite fully commit there. Here comes a bit of a split here. 20 trying to hold his own. Rhythm jumping all around as well, trying to get inside the box here. Milks comes to the defense. He does have the high ground. He manages to somehow secure that for free as they don't just focus him at all here. They have all eyes on Rhythm. Rhythm still getting chased. Doing a good job running though. Seems like he puts down just enough defensive shots there. Go ahead and buy himself some room.
This is a not pretty fight from either way. Milk's able to get some great damage.
Blanco, pero este está a 39,
really shouldn't have been able to open up there. That legendary striker actually got a knock. I think Reciprocal fell a little bit too far off of the side, so Milk's when he shouldn't have an opportunity now. So what could be a relatively even 1-on-1 20.
Buah, qué peleas, tú.
Go out, tries to end up pushing it out. Gonna get on the wall. Goes for the spray through the stair, phases into the stair again, and takes it out. So 20 rescuing what could have ended up being a little bit of a rough situation, but all around, I think there was plenty to VOD review for both the duos in that engagement.
Yeah, big fight, big chase there, and you know that's why you have to stay with your duo partners being split up like that.
Always.
¿Has visto los puntos de eso, no, Dani?
How quickly teams can jump on you is a
muy pocos. Tenían 14 o 19.
In real time right there. For Nosh and Pape though,
the draw
spot looking pretty decent. They managed to kind of come out here, but you know, Nosh has got to get the save here. We already saw the statistic, what happens. Most teams, even after the save, don't find too much success as far as victory royales go, so it is an uphill battle here for Nosh, even if he has a replay.
No sé quién serían los otros dos.
And you can see Nosh and Paper have been competing.
Y el C9 este está solo. El Pape está muerto con 2 kills.
NA East duo going back to 2019. And I was like, that's not that long ago. Then it was 3 years ago. We're in 2022, Monster. Time flies, man. A lot of Fortnite. A lot of Fortnite.
Vale, Dani.
Time has wings, and it has taken off, my friend. Here's Nosh, though. You know, trying to do his thing. Take a look at the map. Still, you need 2 more duos lurking inside the cavern, 2 more duos on top of the cavern. It's going to be a hot spot throughout the entire weekend here. On over to the other side, this is the complete opposite for Clix and Day, who are just driving their way across the map right now. Mind you, this is a team that will hop out and take a battle anytime along the way here. So anyone that does cross their path do have to be hyper cautious.
¿Cómo se ve las luces del coche y todo, eh? ¿Has visto, Jimmy?
Yeah, looking to get some tags. Generally, it will be Clicks driving, and then Day being the one looking for shots out towards the side right now. So we do get a nice little 3-split. Clicks and Day up in the top. Bug up bottom left corner. Rides and Agers in the bottom right-hand corner. Just looking for some space right now as Rise doing a good job, but there's a lot of teams right down by this Greasy Grove area, so could get awkward, whereas Booga, they got space for days, Monster. They got tracts of land, acres, maybe even hectares.
Yeah, not to mention they do have that Chonkers Speedway vehicle as well. That's their prime possession, if you will, from their drop spot. Their drop plays so well. Not only does it have the heals, the ammo, and everything else to work with, you get that vehicle, you get the big wheels too to travel all terrain and claim what it is that you want early. Jamper and Dukes on the other side playing a much different type of gameplay here, sticking to their general drop, position themselves nice and high up here, and then finding any types of tags off in the distance. These type of play styles reward people with heavy accuracy. This is a team that has managed to do it so far because we haven't seen them once in a weird storm surge type position where they had to fight for it.
Yeah, so fun fact, so no elims this game, right? Duke's sitting on, like we just saw on the top right-hand part of your screen, Dukes has 10 elims individually. That's worth 30 points. So if you just took Dukes as eliminations and put them on the leaderboard, they'd be sitting in 19th right now. That's a large
ese Mati, campeón.
First place. I mean, he had 6 elims.
Buenas noches, bienvenido,
in
Matías.
First game, which is third place, 7 elims. And then the next game, third place, 8 elims, where he had 4 of them. So really occupying a large portion of his team's elims right now, currently sitting at 2/3 as Bucky and Cam trying to find some space here, but a long rotate, and a lot of teams have a line of sight of him. And that's Spade right now, I believe currently our 4th place team, who's just been ripping shots. We haven't seen a ton of
low, justo. Y todo bien, Matías. ¿Tú qué tal, bro? Aquí estamos viendo la FNCS de NA, tranquilamente. Luego seguramente jugamos un ratillo.
Working his way up the ranks as far as who his duo partners have been, and now he's paired up with one of the bigger vets we've ever seen him play with, and they're doing just fine.
85
it kind of
personas.
just looks like another Bucky and Cam type situation. Big vet pick up a young hot player, and all of a sudden now they're gelling really well, and finding success here. So it's these hybrid teams, these hybrid talented players coming out here. New duos being formed, new legacies being made.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for having a player who's been in these types of situations to kind of give you that little bit of a stepping stool.
Dice, güey, ahí preocupado. ¿Y eso, Mati? Ya empezó la escuela ya, ¿no, Matías? En Chile.
Having somebody able to tell you, like, here's what you can likely face in this situation. Like, here's probably the best thing we can do here. It's like, oh, this team might end up doing this. We need to be ready for it. Just having that in your back pocket and being able to level up that much faster. And now it allows them to put results on what is the biggest of stages. Like, we're competing for around $600,000 here in the NA East. I mean, there's a lot on the line, as we see on the left-hand side. Yamzo and DJ.
Dice, es que sabes que quiero estudiar, ¿no? Sí, me imagino, ¿no, Matías? Pero es que lo dijo también Vicente, un chavalín también que es de Chile, que pronto empezaba las clases. Y digo, seguro que Mati también. ¿Pero qué vas a estudiar, Mati? Lo que pasa es que la especialidad que quiero estudiar solo hay 70 cupos. Tienes que darle caña, Mati. Entonces, medicina quiero estudiar. Con mucho ánimo, tío. Mati. Es una carrera difícil, pero a quien le guste la medicina, pero tiene que ser difícil, ¿eh? También te lo digo. Pero al igual, si te lo propones, Matías, si te pones serio, yo creo que puedes. ¡Buah, el surge! ¡Madre mía, el surge, bro! ¡Madre mía, el surge! ¡Madre mía, mira las fuentes y todo ahí, los chavales con las fuentes, ¿eh? Para que no les dé el surge. Están pegando con una fuente ahí, bro, qué locos. Dice, lo sé, pero me da miedo no lograr nada, ¿sabes? Pues nada, sin miedo al éxito, Matías. Nunca hay que tener miedo al éxito, tío. Así que a tirar para adelante, Mati. Si tú pones de tu empeño y piensas que es tu futuro y va a ser tu progreso de tu vida, que va a ser para ti ese trabajo y ese estudio, yo creo que te pone serio y lo sacas. Mati también. Como Ángel, que estaba por ahí igual. Blanconeado. Ahí va, poseado.
Yeah, and he was only 1 damage above the surge. He knew he had to go, but it seemed like he was trying to make sure
Estos van volando,
he didn't give the elim over. However, instead, he just gifts the siphon, the points, whatever he had left over to polarize to Nico. Now, all of a sudden, DJ and Yamzo, they're like, we gotta go. Bye. Zone is closing in. You can see all that coming through. I believe Thatch just picked up a knock in the feed, so let's go. I also falsely said last game that they went down in 26. Pamstow was actually still up, ended up clutching up into a top 15.
Me falta un... Dice, no, aún no he terminado, me falta un chingo de rayos. Ya estoy de mal humor por no dormir. Tranquilízate, Ángel, y hazlo, bro. Ponle ganas. Seguro que lo hace bien, tío.
Yeah, just one solo up right now. And you know what? Great job from Booga and Miro there. You saw how aggressive they were willing to ramp on up and look for any type of shots there. Everyone that you saw moving by, though, was on some type of chili chug splash and or pepper effect. They were moving super quick, cutting across the side angles, just showing how important it is to make your way through those zones and be quick on your feet. You do not want to get caught back inside the storm line.
Pues si lo hubiese sabido, hubiese comprado unas patatas fritas o algo, tío. Para ver esto, ¿no? Que quiero verlo, tío. Porque mañana se decide todo, pero si el que haga hoy buenas partidas lo va a tener fácil ya mañana, yo creo. Están below todo, bro, mira. Todo below, todo debajo sur.
They were able to get a knock on the side, and that was DeRoller just picking it up. Some really good reflexes after the initial drop, and that's got some shots on him, but his tracking there was really good, and you can tell a little bit
la reacción del chaval, ¿sabes?
out from nets there as he really
¿Qué has
wanted to
visto,
be able
bro?
to close it up, but we'll hop back in, currently sitting in 14th. Pamstu, 33 Fashy Fitchy, trying to get some pressure on, and you can see they're actually closing down, debating on whether it's worth dropping down there, but you have to be careful, lads. And Pamso says, no, I don't, no one's around me. He's just going to drop down, pick all of that up. As the rotations will happen here.
Brasil creo que ha sido ya, ¿no? Brasil creo que sí.
This will be the last time players try to head all the way to the center, and instead are going to start posting up on the outsides to hope to pull that half-in, half-out zone.
Let's just talk about how lucky Dukes and Jamper get here. Being in first place coming into game 3 now, not only that, pull the zone right on top of them, and this is going to give them a lot of opportunity to just farm up and buffer up the surge tags. Mind you, we've been seeing them play high ground positions every single time we've tuned in with them in this game. It's been a mountain, it's been a storm surge angle, it's been somewhere that they can maintain a dominant field of view over the rest of the lobby, and it is paying off in full here. Dukes just rips up another player right there. On the other
Rubén
side,
García, bienvenido.
completely different plays from
Pone por ahí una ñ
they have been coasting
de
out
España.
going zone to zone and just holding on to the little thin line on the backside here. And now, it's a big fight for them as they have to full commit here. 63 above the surge is not going to cut it.
Yeah, keeping an eye on all three of the surge numbers. Top of the screen, 73. Right side of the screen, 92. Left side of the screen, 168. Now top of the screen, very comfortably above. Honestly, Dukes and Jamper are putting in work with the MK7s. Every time we tune into it, they're just ripping teams to shreds. However, right now,
no lleva 5 el
a
compa.
little bit of room. They were 100 above, 88 above, and still a decent number of players to go down. But in the top left-hand corner of the feed, we see Shadow is just dropping day. We see Redux under a little bit of pressure here right now. 110 below. The storm is closing in 25 seconds. Teams generally don't like to wait for that pressure, though. They'd like to figure it out beforehand. Savage is going in. That's a knock on there, and they want to keep pressuring as they know this other team is underneath. That's on the left-hand side of the screen. But on the right-hand side of the screen, Yamzo and Degen in a ton of trouble as the Amzo is completely solo. No extra shields, no utility, and only 22 above. And he's not even going to have to worry about that now because he's sent back to the lobby.
Sent back for the halfway mark there. Unfortunate for him, it's Vert ends up finding that elimination there. Chimp is going to find Cam in the feed. Big trades here. Illis falls down, so is Jack down too? Yes, to the hands of Scented there. So that is all types of lobby focus coming in onto the feed. OMG Me Too, one of our top seeded teams right now, currently falling. That's a third place team now out of the competition there.
Yeah, Me Too and Shadow going down before those first round of placement points. Again, keeping an eye on the top left-hand corner. There's one team, and it's AMT misses a lot. And Princess Wolf in their first FNCS final, trying to just outlast the Surge. The one thing is with fifth zone Surge and half, because everybody generally wants to rotate pretty early or right on time. Unless the pull is like really not generous, you can generally wait it out. Like somebody will end up going down, and they have enough heals so far, whereas if they don't take a ton of excess damage, they don't
les obliga a ir a saco, les son tío.
They're going to opt to take a fight, and Princess Wolf loses all the excess HP that might have been able to keep them up. They will go down, start taking them completely out. AMT will be the only one up there. We see Fatch picking up another Elam in the top left-hand corner of the feed, and now we're going to swing on over here to Stretch and Commodon trying to layer out some shots.
And not only that, huge neighbors nearby. Scented and Cold just outside this next wall here. Good armored wall there from Stretch and Commandment, recognizing like, hey, we're on this low ground, weird layer. We do not want to get pressured out from an angle we can't properly defend from. And just like that, those armor walls start to come down there to buy themselves some time here. So they can start looking out to these other players here. Smite and Larson still up inside the distance there too. And look at the feed just getting lit up right now. Sundown, a lot of teams starting to fall here.
Yeah, now we're into the placement points. So each duo that drops will be +1. That's Panso and Fatch right on the other side. And Panso, I believe, just got obliterated. Getting a little bit too greedy for the loop, but Stretch. Same thing. Fatch saying, hey, I'll try to bench my partner, and they'll be forced to burn in their extra utility. But how much do they have if they can't get over to Pansto's extra loot? As we see Ages and Rise currently sitting in second place.
Y chicos, al igual, si veis mal el directo, cualquier cosa por la calidad, le dais arriba a la ruleta, opciones avanzadas, y le subís la calidad a 720.
You know what? Shadow is still up. He is still up. He is southwest right there on the zone. He is actually still in this game holding on. Okay. He's actually earned himself several placement points. As now there are 23 duos inside the game. So that's a couple extra clutch points there just to go ahead and keep him in the running right now. Another Surge is going to get active here. 45 seconds, but that's not the real problem. The problem is getting to the new zone, and the vehicle is going to come into play.
Que van a rotar en coche los locos. Buah, estos están todos locos. Estos son los mejores. Son los mejores, bro. Mira. Mira. Qué loco, bro. Oh my god, qué puto loco, tú. What? Qué puto loco, tú. Pero, bro, ¿qué hace, bro? En sexta con un coche rotando, guau, cuando hay 40. Qué loco, chaval.
¿Por qué no?
Si no lo han visto. Le salió bien encima, Mira, los que van primeros tienen el high ground, el Jumper y el otro. Y quiero ver eso a los demás, a ver.
Bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you see Spade currently in third place. He went down. You can see Dukes and Jumper just raining shots down from above. Ages and Rise trying to find some tags on the right-hand side. They're above Surge. Booga and Miro also well above Surge, so not going to be worried about that. They just picks up another Elam. Good refresher coming through there. Decent amount of builds coming through, but honestly, it's a lot of wood and a decent amount of metal. Shots from above going to put the pressure, and actually Rise gets obliterated. Storm Surge turns off, but that's Fatch finding some huge individual points right now.
I can't believe he's still up as well, just clutching on, holding on to dear life here. And look, his name pops up in the feed one more time. Tabney on the other side swings his way the wrong way, and he's just getting chunked up by the storm line there. A lot of players are going to start falling to some unnecessary damage there, unfortunately. Stretch goes down. Commandment goes down to the hands of Miro. Big trade there, too. So this is going to open up the standings just a little bit for those teams that are still fighting for their way on up. But for Dukes and Jamper, the first team to break triple digit now, 117 is where they're sitting. Nice and comfortable. I see Oliver OG there as well. Down goes Chimp. Fatch still alive in the backside of zone. Solo's there, too. It's crunchy. Chimp goes down to 20 now, and Agers trying to clutch up here. This is that pocket of solos we just saw inside the feed.
Siguen arriba en el high. Jumper y el otro no. que no me he fijado.
No.
Sí, final lo de ahí arriba ya. Y lo tienen todo enganchado encima.
Finally goes down, but that's a 9th place monster as we're into our top 10, and I think there's only 2 duos up still.
Kiva and Miro, though, he's in a fight in the low ground here. He finds another elimination there, too. That's going to be a huge game for him onto 8.
Quien suele coger high ground aquí en estas partidas suele ganar, tío. Yo me he fijado en Europa también.
¿Quién está en el high?
El jumper ese va primero. Los primeros.
No.
Se lo van a quitar. ¿Quién? El Yoyi ese.
One of the only duels in the game here does get pressured in, and Dukes gets the fully knocked out there. So it's up to Jampers to clutch this one up here.
El jumper este con aguantar. Se lo echa. Palmero.
Se ha cargado el de Buga.
Palmero. Joji, ese también juega bien, ¿no? Pues Joji ese, si no me equivoco, jugó en el equipo de la Streamer Bowl con YELI en Estados Unidos, en Los Ángeles. Si no me equivoco, fue su trío. El jugador de rugby, YELI y el Joji ese. Bueno, chaval. Oliver. Que mira cómo se queda el mapa,
Imagínate ir por ahí en una pública y encontrarte eso.
De todas maneras, el modo cine este está muy guapo para petar,
They end up coming through with their own endgame win and a big performance for them there. From 13th, they jump on up there. They end up securing themselves a nice spot here to keep them in this finals run.
I also really don't want to undervalue how much it was worth to break that tree for the extra 3 builds, because he ate that first little pressure.
Lo bueno de aquí que ganar uno a lo mejor no ganas ya la FNCS, pero te pone bien, la verdad, sube bastante puestos.
Yeah, and that was because, you know, high ground, Joji there had to focus on putting those armor walls down. That was actually digging into the very little material he had too. But you know what? The desk can continue to break this story down further because we got to get to these standings. Let's toss it on over to Adam.
Thank you, fellas. I mean, Oliver OG there in player fight, getting the victory royale from the low ground, which is good to see. But again, we saw some insane solo clutch-ups there as well. Mira making big plays there. We saw Aegis and Rise doing an unbelievable job as well. JG and Roki. There are so many big teams who are making a real mark here, having to get whatever happens to their teammate, dragging them over the finish line, trying to get some more points with it. And again, the leaderboard is going to completely change up after Game 3.
Yeah, and that is where it really matters. And I love the variety we're getting out of these games. Just the previous game, we were talking about how we had this 4 duos.
Fernán, ¿qué dice, bro? Buenas noches, Fernando. Aquí estamos viendo NAIs.
Just gathering so many points from those solo clutches. And it's just incredible to see because you really just have a lot of faith in your duo when they are left alone to just gather so many points against good duos that are still alive as a duo.
It's a complete opposite from what we just saw in that last game, and this is why these are the best players in the world. They can do it whether it be as a duo or as a solo. No matter what situation they're put in, they're comfortable to thrive. But we also
Vamos una buff ahí mientras, chavales, ¿o qué? Vamos. Hay aquí sin salirse de aquí. Sube el volumen.
That's right. I mean, Joji and Roken going into that, I think we're in maybe 13th, 14th position. Obviously, they're going to be propelling themselves up in the standings. And in a second, we'll get to take a look there. But you can see them at the high ground as well, managing to maintain.
No, I
think that's what's really important now, as we're seeing teams that are able to go low ground, as we see for our winners there, Oliver OG and Player 5, but the high ground as well, proving it is always a great place to score points from.
Yo aquí te pones público y ahí está cola y todo.
In the last couple of games has had to really take one for the team here. Boob going down a lot earlier. Miro just managing to hold out, but then Jamper and Juice come through. Well, Jamper's just playing out of his skin right now.
Yeah, and we can't forget that clutch factor that both Booga and Miro have. We talk about how strong they are as a duo because Booga kind of has that intelligent, that IGL role that he's done for so long, and then Miro kind of has that fragging, get a lot of elimination role, but both of them on their own have always done so well in teams in those solo clutch situations, and Miro goes ahead and proves it right there.
Yeah, I want to say Miro is the best solo player in NAEs based on cash cups over the past year, but I want to see where they wound up on the leaderboard. Obviously, Dukes and Jamper is going to be in first place, but Adam, what is the rest of the
Yeah, that is the big question, my friend. Let's take a look at the standings and how things lie after Game 3, which is halfway through day 1 here of FNCS Finals NAE. And as you can expect, Jamper and Juice in the tops with their 135 points. Obviously, MDF Sundown doing the maths there on the spot.
¿Has visto cómo se escucha ahora? Si no se escucha, se escucha más al
este. And they are sitting pretty at top spot here. It seems like this is their day.
Tío.
Yeah, they're playing really well. We saw them there in that game. They're up on the high ground. On that position, just simply because Jamper and Dukes ran out of mats, but we typically actually don't see them on high ground. So it was cool to see them kind of adapting to the situation, just taking advantage of what was given to them.
La tabla. ¿Cuánto pone abajo a la derecha? Que sale el tiempo para la próxima partida. Next game pone.
No pone. Who are doing so well at Greasy Grove.
And it's just so interesting to see them succeed after not knowing how the spawn's going to go for Agers and Rise, and they continue to thrive off spawn. We see Spade and Chimp also doing well. They were making it to the final few zones, and ultimately it's been those last few zones where these players are racking up all these points. Checking out the second page here, it's still so close. We've seen a lot of teams win a game. Oliver, obviously, they're in 16.
La última vamos para verlo.
They were able to figure it out a little bit better this past game. So many of these teams just trying to push themselves up the leaderboard and get enough points to have that base groundwork to really make that final push.
Yeah, it's all today. Day 1 is all about creating the foundation. You've got to make sure that you kind of get as many points as you can, because day 2, obviously, that is where it's going to count. Because at the end of the day, we're going to find out who our FNCS champions are. So it's only game 3. We've got so much to look forward to. It's not even the end of the first act yet. We've got so much more coming your way. Let's head into game number 4, where MDF and Sundown are ready and raring to go here. This one's going to be an exciting one. Let's head over to the fellas.
Thank you so much, Adam, Vivid, and SVG. Halfway through the halfway mark monster. I know they say not to do maths on stream, but that puts us at a quarter-way mark, and the leaderboard's looking a little spicy.
I was going to say, you could call it a quarter, but yes, the person I'm looking most forward to, though, is Miro and Booga. Do we see Miro becoming a 5x major player right now? Another potential opportunity here as he pushes his way on up to a great seat right now alongside Booga. They're doing exceptional work, but man, Jamper and Duke, they're playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah, and it starts to see, like, particularly for Miro, it's starting to get to a point where he keeps going. He's one of those kind of, like, newer gen players, like, hasn't been around from the very beginning, going all the way back to the World Cup days, who can really slot comfortably into that conversation. He's putting up big results.
Yeah, and he's been doing it for a while, too, but it sounds like the battle bus is here. We're ready to load up, so let's get on to the world.
Beep, beep, here we go back on to the Chapter 3 islands. one more time. Well, not one more time, yet another time, I should say, as we do have a slight northwestern, actually pretty northwestern cut here, as we're going to hop right into the greasy action. Per usual, this time it's a hard
suenan los disparos, suena más que nosotros aquí adentro ahora,
Actually, I lied, able to catch him with the 2 afterward, and he puts it to work. The Clay Classic coming through. It's just as good as a shotgun early, Monster.
I cannot believe they just won that somehow. They didn't have a single weapon running into that building there. Pick up a harpoon, and not only that, Aegis gets just no-scoped or like sniped basically in that situation. Almost pickaxe, still manages to stay alive. What a fight for them. For Mac on the other side though, we gotta hop on over to what's happening and unfolding here. It has not been a good or pleasant sight for them, this covert cavern. I mean, when is enough enough? There's been all kinds of battles here. No one's coming out on top.
And unfortunately, I was also going to say, keep an eye on the top left. We talked about him a ton right before him. The TNA pick up a Miro. He got downed on his fly in. So Buga having to immediately come over, revive him, and they have
¡Oh, buena, Dani!
huge delay.
Se estaba todo tocado de la zona, tú también, ¿no?
Sí. We talked about that northwestern bus being a huge deal. They haven't had the opportunity to look for anything right now, but a revive has come out from Backwood and Donnie, and now they're going to get in a little bit of a scrappy fight, and instead they're going to say, no, we aren't. We're leaving.
Yeah, full disengage here. Bila's going to find Nosh in the feed there. So already teams are starting to trade eliminations here. Things picking up action pretty quickly, honestly, as 2 duos fall down within the first 30 seconds or so of this map developing here. 4 shots coming in from teams in a distance. It is not looking too hot here, as teams are probably recognizing, hey, if they're pretty much launch padding in right now and breaking into our loop path.
Este chaval también es bueno, bro. Mira, no llevan casi puntos, 16, tío.
It's a pretty good chance. So we swing back on over.
Creo que mi color ya no va a aguantar. ¿Y eso, Ángel?
Looking for a little bit of spot, making sure they hit up those bricks. Super efficient when you see the monstrous rocks like those. They vary between 98 and 135 per swing, trying to make sure they don't take too much extra damage here, but those nades can be tricky. Sometimes you have to guarantee a full box up, but the one benefit is if you do already have control of that vault. I mean, trading damage generally isn't the worst thing in the world because there is just so much distance in there. However, that says having control of it. As you see, there's 2 pretty threatening duos between them and it right now.
What's crazy about this is that their team that lands at the llama, they managed to fight their way in, catch the opportune key card, and now this is a strategy we haven't seen them ever play into. Fighting for the vault. Do they know all the trickery and the other strategies at play here from the duos, right? They're at the biggest disadvantage right now. Pretty much about to face check straight into Avery and Muzz on the other side, whom, by the way, have been winning some of their early game fights against Donnie and Macwood. So, this is their domain, and they have a good success rate, at least winning some of those fights.
Yeah, we see top left of the feed, Cam picking up a knock there. We'll see if he gets the confirmation, but there it goes through on to Spaggy. That means Charlie might not be long for this lobby, but I think I feel good about getting a little bit of momentum rolling there. That the hype train has stalled a little bit. As hop on over. Illis actually under a little bit of pressure here. There's Chubbs and Twix on the other side. There's Illis and Chichi trying to close the gap here. They do have a shield keg, which is going to end up slamming down here. This is fantastic for trading early. One of the newer additions to Chapter 3 Season 1 here.
Yeah, definitely. You'll see teams just willing to get very aggressive here, go with those open exchanges there, and honestly, be able to keep their shields up pretty nicely. A lot of HP gets divvied out from the keg there, but they don't decide to stick around, not for too long. Instead, want to prioritize material, as they are slowly but surely falling behind the pace here. As the zone's starting to close up.
Right now, generally, this is the time of the game where minus a couple of solos being racked up, because I believe this will be one here as Magnolia ends up getting separated. And Quav actually had some pretty good results, so surprised to see that happening, sitting in 15th, which is a little bit too far. There shouldn't be a ton of action, just some up-spawn fights resolving in the current circumstance, but Sparky on Nets trying to get themselves going on the board, because besides that elimination, only 4 points to their name.
While Magnolia, an endgame type team, definitely one that plays a lot more passive, a little bit more defensively in the early game. Not necessarily the type of team to take these early game fights for Nets and Sparky. I mean, you have to mix up your strategy, right? It hasn't been working so far, everything and the way their game's been playing out. So putting the gas pedal a little bit more aggressively here seems like it's being the key to their success right now. This is just game 4.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here at the Elam cam gun. It looks like just caught out Charlie completely there, slid into it, the potential ambush, and while missing the first shot, was still able to clean it up. So That'll be the second one for them. We saw Spegu already going down. Then we'll hop on over, currently sitting in 4th place. Sentinels, Buga, as well as TNA Miro,
Buga tiene aquí, lo de Chonker lo tiene free,
get off to a little bit of a rocky start.
En toda la nevera de los splashes.
Yeah, we're talking about how, you know, the time that you lose there could be a major setback. I was going to touch on it. Usually, you feel it most in the metal compartment because you have much less time to go ahead and farm that out, as it is one of the harder and slower materials to farm around this general area. But this is a power drop we're talking about here, so it's like it never really happened, as they are just back on track here for Jamper and Dukes, though. Shots coming in. They have a team on the run
Jamper
right
y su dúo rusheando con el coche. Qué locos, son los primeros. Mira, mira qué locos otra vez con el coche.
Shield crack there, and TK pauses to pop his mini here, so he is trailing behind. If Dukes and Jamper can fully catch him off guard, it could be Raz, but no. They end up being a lot more disciplined than that. They stop down to pause here. Shots come in onto visuals. This could be enough for them to fully decide, and maybe let's jump on in, but there's everything on the line for them here. It's too early in the competition for them to throw it all away, and they decide, we're just going to chill out. This is a W for us already.
They use the MK7 assault rifle better than probably any other duo on NAEs. They are so punishing with it. If you go back and just look at their exchanges where they're fighting MK7 on MK7, they outtrade every single time. And it might seem like just a small thing, but that's what gives them the high ground control. And if they're doing that, plus have the best sight lines when they're in that high ground position, that's what's allowing them to put up the ridiculous point totals we've seen so far. Again, we talk about just kind of their level of consistency as Redux going to open up around the corner here. Savage making sure they cover. They do have a team pinned in there, but it doesn't look like they necessarily want to full commit.
And just to touch on Dukes really quickly and Jamper, look at the difference in their play, the way they base up. They base up 3 stories or bust, right? Like, it's literally big bases on good positions, or they're not sitting there at all. Not like these other teams that will hunker into these types of buildings where, you know, you're not going to find trades here. You're not going to find tags unless you're going, you know, box to box with another opponent. And look at this. You know, this team's going to go ahead and disengage here in Redux and Crusoe. You know, it's the difference in types of playstyles that, you know, can determine your full game.
And at this point, when we're talking about it, this is the 50 best duos in
NAEs.
If you're just joining us, welcome. We're past the halfway point here. Chapter 3, Season 1, FNCS over on NAEs. My name's Sundown, joined by Monster D-Face, calling all the action. We have this game, 2 more today. Then we'll have NA West after this, then a full another round of matches tomorrow before we start handing out
33 millones% del cielo completado.
champions. And so far, NA East has been pretty tight, but Muzz and Avi are looking to try and get a foothold because
La tienda,
6 points is
ojito.
not so great.
Not so great, but a long
¿Salgo a ver
set
la
of games
tienda
in
otra vez
front
o
of them,
qué?
right? We still have this round, plenty to...
Vamos a ver la tienda, chavales. Gracias, Ángel, por avisar, Vamos a ver la tienda.
Y así se me despeja un poco la cabeza del tío este que es más pesado hablando.
En West creo que está Tocata. De comentarista. Ojo, otra vez las skins de Spiderman. Yo tengo todo. Nos lo pillamos. Buah, este baile, bro. Es la Movie. Está guapísimo, bro, este baile. Ha vuelto a salir otra vez, tío. Un de Madagascar, what?
No, no tengo pavo. ¿Estás bien?
Igual. Qué pena, tío. Y han dejado lo mismo otra vez. Joder, gran bota la tienda,
Joder, tío, quiero la campeona de la FNCS, tío.
Está chula, Dani. Y chicos, ya sabéis, al igual, si vais a hacer cualquier tipo de compra, código killer-valdez. Se agradecería un montón. Y a los 14 días hay que volverla a poner porque se borra automáticamente.
Esos perros.
¿Qué has dicho? ¿No te escuchó a Jimmy?
Esos perros.
Esos perros.
Pregunta importante.
Fortnite otra vez, chavales.
¿Se batalla?
¿El qué, Dani?
Que el Spiderman se supone que era el pase de batalla.
No, pero eso es otro. Tienes que dar listo, Dani, vamos para adentro otra vez.
Ahora después le damos partidas.
Nada, listo, cabrón. No lo perdemos. No salió nada a la tienda así. Yo lo de Spiderman lo tengo la chica y el chico.
John.
A la move. Estaba chulo el baile,
Y a ver.
Ricardo León, bienvenido. Buenas noches, bro. Pues vamos a ver la FNCS. De Is. NA Is.
Vamos.
Vamos, Jimmy, ha llegado.
However, as each game goes past, that pressure ramps up a little bit. Want to know who's not feeling that pressure right now? Jumper and Dukes, they are chilling, especially Monster. No elims, 300.
Dani, ¿tú tienes oro? Monedas.
The way they play, it's these high bases, these strong positions, not afraid to commit some
10,
material,
15,
some
esas son las rondas
resource
que
into
hemos
their
ganado, creo.
gameplay,
Ahí.
and they're seeing the returns
Otra
load
moneda,
as
bro.
well. On the low
Echamos
ground,
otra.
though, Day and Clicks
Ahora
jumping
vamos a
on
verla,
into
vamos a
a
verlo.
fresh
Esto
duo
está la
here
final
in
casi,
the
¿no?
mix,
Sí,
and they're going to get
90,
shredded
bro.
up. Like melted cheese here,
90,
but hold up, now comes the back off. Clicks gets
Muerto
punished,
solo
Day
10.
does too. Another team starts looking from the
Aquí
side,
viene
and they're
Europa.
inside wood build. Time to start committing a little bit more resource if you want to stay comfortable. There goes the armored wall. I was going to say, you can't stand behind those wood builds, and the pro players know too. Clicks knows better than that, and you can see how quickly they managed to reinforce their entire position, but that push was still very much worth it for them. They find tons of tags, get them above the surge for now, and allows them to buy themselves a little bit more of a window to recover.
Yeah, but this is a thick surge one, so we still got 90 players up. That's 10 teams who are going to be under pressure, so we're probably going to be hopping around for a little bit. Everybody's got a buddy too, so no solos going through. Right now, Mira and
Y
Buga
Buga se cambia todas las partidas
getting
las
taken
bro.
down. That's
Todas.
Rokane picking that
Si te
one
fijas, ¿la has
up. We
visto?
saw
¿Te has
him and
fijado?
Joji push through and
Todas.
almost pick up the last game, but
Los dos
end up
llevan la
getting
misma,
taken
pero todas
down
la
there in
cambian.
the final moments. Bottom right-hand corner, somebody who is waffling right back and forth on the line. And right as I say that, they pick up a
Clip
nice
no,
100 damage boost on
Clip
that
va con la
side.
azul.
Getting some key tags, put him 170
Lleva
above.
3 partidas con
Bottom
la azul.
left-hand corner, Macwood and Donnie still struggling, 124 below. They're starting to invest some of the chug splashes, knowing, hey, we got to go and we got to fight.
Look at this. Buga's going to start stepping out here. They recognize they have to get to a box if they want to stay alive in this game. Or this tag here could be the most important trade of the day here. But no, Buga doesn't find any tags. He's looking off in the distance. Is it worth jumping to that team? It's the decision he's trying to play out in his mind right now. Here comes the Peppers. The commit is full, and he's going to go for it here. This is big risk right now, but it's all or nothing if they want to stay in this game here. 15 players have to go down. They're going to start getting tagged here, and the team of the distance that found those additional storm surge hits on them as well is going to go ahead and set them back just a little bit here.
Pega 40,
Here comes
o de 80, pega 40 al rayo, mira. Pega mucho, bro,
Wasn't enough, it looks like it, as they start to back up. And
de
yes,
25,
they
creo,
find
¿no?
themselves a little window, and Buga needed it. My gosh, look at his HP.
Yeah, but I'm not sure it's enough, Monster. Keep an eye on the top left. Players are dropping quickly, but that threshold on the right side, they were 118 above, I believe, maybe a little bit higher than that. And that number keeps dropping, 69, 68. It continues going lower, but somebody who, again, we talked about needing to get some damage done, needing to get something going. Seen on Avery, TNA Muzz, under pressure from Storm Surge, and just hoping that team up above ends up peeking out. Instead, they end up peeking it down, looking at them, and they don't have an angle coming through, Monster. They need to invest quickly, and Miro finds some great tags on the left-hand side. Those headshots are going to put them comfortably above now.
Kid you not, jaw drop for a second there. Those are just a crazy line of headshots right there. I thought he was going to
Avery le va a quitar vida ya, Verde y todo,
Avery
no tiene escudo, bro. Buah, están muertos, hermano. Están muertos por susto. Encima ni paso. Buah,
There comes the shot up above, the well-timed storm surge plus counterfire from Smite and Larson. They're going to wrap themselves up a fresh 6.
Necesitaban sacar surge, no tenían vida.
Miro and Buga. What a surge battle for them. That story was insane. But
Estos
they
tienen
are
surge,
in the
están bien,
game and back like they never
Ojo,
left.
pero bueno, Reina,
Off to
good
the
night.
rotate here. Wow.
And Aviv just gets
¿Qué tal el sábado? ¿Todo bien o qué?
Peterbot, who's going to end up picking that up. That was our last player.
Mira, Dani, ya se ha quitado el
duo
anónimo.
goes down. Right after that, our first round of placement points are given out, and Cease and Elite actually fall right after, so they'll get the pity point going through. But unfortunately for the veterans who got off to a pretty solid start, that's a little bit of a stall going through there. So see an update in the top of the screen. Mero in 20. Leading game number 3 with 5 elims apiece. Again, that's 15 points individually out of their team. See Pam Sound Fatch currently sitting in 7th place, 69 points coming through with that placement point topping off on them. But looks like they took a decent amount of chunk trying to trade out on the Storm Surge there. Gonna invest a little bit of the chunk splasher, but also finding Flood over on the other side, potentially not covered up, but will be immediately be able to react. So now we get a triple split. Pam Sound Fatch, top of the screen. Yamzo D-Den, bottom left. Day and clicks the energy.
Porque el Day ese va sin cabeza, bro, rusheando el solo, loco.
In a fight on the edge of zone, trying to get back together,
está
getting the
Gliss al lado, pero
is stuck in the build to need to open up a garage, make some more room so the taxi can get you out and into your destination. The edits are tough right now, and they find they're going to be able to get in, but they're taking just so much damage before they even got going. They can't afford to be next to that car and in the zone. It's going to take over. Boom, it goes. I mean, this is shambles. This is so hard, Monster.
It's not looking too good for them right now. Sparks on the other side, they're starting to fire in. Walker as well on the distance there, just on the border. And Clicks realizes it's all over. Tries to drop some stuff for Day, but it's not going to be enough. Man, that was so unfortunate. The vehicle just bulldozes into our box. I mean, Day and Clicks knew what they were doing. They wanted to take a fight, but they kind of asked for it. They could have went straight to zone, but instead they took a big battle there. And it's Walkers and the other duo that end up with the points.
So when we talk about doing the little things right, that's one of those situations where if you are going to box up a car, you need to make sure immediately that the interior walls that you're using to box up the car are already edited so it can go. That way when you get out, one of you hops in, the duo gets in the other side, and the duo then opens the wall that's in front and you go. They would have saved them so much time and the team wouldn't have been able to get set up rather than saying, hey, is that a car we still hear off in the distance? And everybody's able to about face and have a straight line on you. So really tough situation going through there, but it's just one of those times where not doing all of the little things in between, it costs you a couple of seconds, but those seconds compound, right? Every couple of seconds in the early game that you end up falling behind potentially end up meaning losing position, and they cost you that much more HP, that much more shields, and sometimes your ability to pick up more points in the game.
These things really do start to add up, and you see it more importantly towards the end game when you start running out of material.
Pegando gestos,
no ammunition, and you know you're on high ground, realizing, oh, we can't even hold this, right? Things like that. It's that little early game min-maxing that's going to be the most important for Chimp and Spade. It's top 3 and a big rotate in front of them. They go with a full-on foot rotate right now. This is not looking good, and it looks like no teams on the outer edge here have any launch pads or mobility to work with. So a lot of traffic here, and they're caught right in the middle of the jam. Now working their way through enemy builds here. There's still enemy inside that wall there, so Chimp's gonna have to step out to the side here, but this exposes him to other teams. And oh, it's not looking too hot. It's costing him so much just to get to this position here.
Yeah, that's the current third place team on the left hand side, but you can see just a tiny little crack. You talked about it, Monster. The enemies are in the walls. No place is safe, but they see the eyes moving in the orchard, but instead Spade opens up and doesn't cover his front. Gets ripped apart, and it's all going to be on Chimp. He's actually going to dip back in the zone for just a half second.
Ha vuelto a cogerle el refil del compañero, le ha tirado los materiales.
He's going to get it on the right side of the screen. Fatch ends up going down, and yet again, Pamso is going to be left to solo clutch. He's got a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump to make to the zone as we have 2 solos relatively high up on our leaderboards. Now under the pressure, how are they looking on Storm Surge? We hear the warning come through. Both above, Chimp comfortably so. Pamstow, I would say not necessarily, but only one duo needs to go down, and there it goes. The warning turns off, but Pamstow immediately here opens up and he says, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, he gets face checked basically by a team that's sitting behind those walls there. It seems like they're starting to inch their way in. Pamstow looking for an exit up top. Those are not even his cones there, so he does have to be mega careful here. And the zone is so far. This is one of the longer rotates he's going to have to make in this game.
Que están abajo de la zona la tienen jodida, bro.
About halfway cap on the material count, and really not a lot of shield to work with, so very tough position to be in. And honestly, just a single team separates him from at least another point or two. We saw what he could do as a solo, but the last time he had Mythic Spider-Man web slingers in play, this time none of that. Going to recycle some enemy builds here. Cones himself off. It's Acorn who's up above. That is a duo, though. And there it is. Remet with Acorn. He gets crushed on the backside of the storm line there, and he manages to find that point there. So Acorn clutches up a couple points.
Got 4 points going through the +1 for getting into the top 25, the +3 for the elim. And here's our current leaders, again, investing a decent amount of their hard materials to get up off the grab. But this is probably the worst position we've seen them in. However, they are still into the placement points. They are still a duo up. They are still have plenty of shields and decent weaponry. So while we talk about worst, that's comparative. They're still sitting pretty. And Chimp right now, somebody who just looking for a little bit of a space, a little bit of a breather, hoping that zone will close and he doesn't have to go a good space farther. It looks like like he might be right on the line, but he just want to eke out some placement points here, Monster.
Yeah, I saw Oliver OG fall there, but the one team that I'm keeping an eye on is actually Bucky and Cam, who are playing second height right now, and we know they are a team that is always and constantly eyeing height for endgame victory royales. They managed to pick up 2 coming out of their early qualification week 1. That's a team that will play for high ground. One of the few teams I'd say that will definitively and consistently always play for that top position there. And look, they managed to be up on height.
Got to give a call out too, though. Shadow picking up an Elim, and we've seen what happens when Shadow and OMG get a priority position there on the zone. But yeah, you talked about it. Miro went it down. That's on the bottom right-hand corner of the wide on the left side of your screen. So it's going to be his chance to play the solo player. But I mean, we've seen what he's capable of. As we see Acorn also taking to the sky there, looking for a little bit of room to operate, not necessarily getting the space he needs. Canada is down as well. You see Chip fall in the top right, a couple of extra placement points going over to him, but now his view is replaced with our current leaders who are making it to yet another endgame monster.
Such a commandment fall as well. As on the bottom, Acorn hits a harpoon through a wood build window there. That was a ridiculous play there. Doesn't manage to find the full elimination, but it does keep him nice and safe here for Duke. And Jamper on the other side, though, they're making it rotate, and they're making it look nice and easy as their layer is virtually uncontested here. So it's just smart positioning by them round after round. For the high ground, though, Ryzen Angels going all the way on up. They want to snipe up that #1 spot, and they're going to do it with a victory royale. If they can secure it for Cam and Bucky, they end up giving it away, but Cam is just lurking nearby. This is going to cost him a lot of material, but he has plenty to work with here as Bucky ends up folding down, but Cam staying true to it. This is very, very aggressive of him to sit there and try to play it out, but looks like it's going to work out as Aegis loses Rise. Rise slips through the build. Now Aegis has to give it up.
Yeah, Aegis and Rise getting separated there, keeping an eye on the feed in the top left-hand side as Aegis and Rise into the fray too. OMG Me Too picking up a Elim on the feed as well. You can see users getting knocked on the backside of the zone. You see Cam and Bucky back up on the high ground like we talked about. Quancy picking up the Elim onto play up by there, who ended up getting the win in our last game. Smite and Larson still up as well as Acorn continues his run, gets the Elim credit, finding another shot here. Will he be able to close it out in the zone? Gets the knock. We'll get the siphon on number. Okay, no panic. Gets the build, still has the pepper effect. He takes tons of damage. 157, Rise, how you doing? He says hello, gets the harpoon, but he needs to find the finish, and he can't swap over the harpoon, the 75 damage, not enough to get the confirm there. As a swing on board, Dukes goes down early, and Jamper, as a solo, no builds left, tries to find one on the backside, and it's Teo, and he finds a lot, trying to get into the build, and he'll get it. That's a huge 4-point swing there. Can he find the mass? He finds 11 of them, 10, now down to 5. Will he be able to find a little bit of space? No white heals, and I lied. He's able to find a med miss, which will extend his game monster. The placement points are still adding up for our #1 duo.
Massive, he's stealing away tons of points right now. Byla's still in this game too. Now in 3rd position, by the way, off of the drop there. So big plays coming in. Jamper still alive here, sitting in the zone. Out comes the hand, but no, he accidentally swaps him out there. But it does not matter. With 10 HP, a slither and a dream, he does manage to stay alive here. And now snaking its way through, finds a solo on the backside of the storm line. Big pressure coming in. It's a duo on the left. He gets shut down there. It's Princess Wolf and AMT make another endgame. Byla as a solo right now. Last slug in the hands here. He does go all the way through. Okay, not bad at all. He is still in the running here. What can he do? We've seen so many players as solos make big points here in the endgame, but it's a tall order to go ahead and ask for here.
3 duos up.
Y el Vila este está solo, bro, Lleva 4 kills.
Solos running around as well, but numbers are getting thin here as Byla looking for some space. 9 as a duo right now with a huge shot there, finding AMT on the back of the zone. Draw away. He's going to be able to find a second. That's a knockdown, not the full confirm. Has the time to be able to get it, but that's Moo going to be able to go down another one in the box, but that will be the end into the top 4. Cam and Bucky are the only duo up. Otherwise, it's solos running it out, and they're trying to end up picking up another VR. They'll find one on the backside of the zone. They'll find a smite, and that's 8 eliminations and the VR when all is said and done for TNA Cam and NRG Bucky.
And just like that, we watched him jump on into the top 10, guys. That's going to put him right there just after the halfway mark. Game number 4. Big victory.
Sí, jugamos una partida, ¿o qué, chavales?
We knew they could do it. They've been putting up W's left and right, but it just is a matter of staying consistent.
Vamos, tres. Ah, el volumen, se me ha olvidado tú. What? Piri, piri, piri. Un viewer en el directo, what the fuck, bro. La gente entra al directo y no se queda ni nada, ¿no? Entran, saludan y se van. O me marca un viewer o no sé, YouTube, tío.
No pases un buen...
Tengo ni idea. Y eso que solo hay uno en el chat, pues solo estás tú, Angelito, creo. Bueno, y yo con el móvil.
Yo también.
¿Tú también, Ibi? Yo. Pues mira. Pues hay 4 supuestamente, tío. O no sé lo que habrá. Está mal, seguro.
Es que en YouTube, pues eso.
Vamos mal, tío. Cero viewer me pone ahora. Imagínate.
Ah, no, el otro medio, tío.
Madre, con escudo y todo, bro. ¡Pum! Está reviviendo aquí, Me tumba uno. Está revivido aquí, tío.
De ahí, tío. Por ahí, mi. Ten cuidado, no tienen cuidado.
Vamos, bajo la escalera y todo. Espérate, si puedes.
Hay una reina que te van a ir.
Van a venir de ahí.
Intenta, coge el juego del plomo.
Saltas con el plomo. Si quieres.
Y vamos a por el tesoro este.
Este es donde te mató.
¿El tesoro dónde está, Jimmy? Atrás.
Allí.
Del barco. Ah, vale, que no tengo ni Nueva, tú. Así, se le puedo.
¿Y me has pillado el tesoro?
Sí. Hay un fusil de esto y una escopeta. Toma. ¿Quieres bala?
Ya he revivido poco. Que hay 4 volando, bro. Mira allí.
¿Dónde?
Atrás.
Mira que tengo el
24 de eso.
Lo que me dio, bro. ¿Dónde, tío? Está atrás, ¿no?
24 de dado. Otro atrás,
Te viene por la espalda, Dani, por la espalda.
Hostia. Ah, que no tengo escudo.
Ahí traspasando todo.
Traspasado. Qué buena, Dani, te queda uno.
Me la había hecho de una manera
Buena, te lo hacía, bro. Bonito aquí. Pero buena, que si te los hace, Dani.
Se ha llevado uno y el otro lo ha dejado y vendido, ¿sabes?
¿El niño está jugando? Qué raro. No, bro. Con Esi, Spiderman. Bro, chavales, escribir en el chat. ¿En serio hay un viewer, tío? 0 viewer. Termino directo, no me jodas, tío.
Escribo.
No sé, chavales. No, si de verdad hay 0 viewer, bro, cierro stream, hermano. Te lo digo en serio. Claro, basta, tío. Pone 0. Si gente escribiendo en el chat cuando pone 0. Esto está todo bugueado, tú. Está todo bugueado aquí en el chat.
Vale.
Vale, que hay 0 puesto frío. Qué bien va YouTube.
Me gusta, youtuber.
Qué bien va. Digo, estas rampas que las ha metido. Si esto va, me voy a cagar, ¿sabes?
No sé yo.
¿No tú, Jimmy? No quiero meter las rampas ahí. Pero bueno.
Un fantasma.
Escudo 50 sobre aquí, Y acá azul, chicos, también.
Hay aquí una máquina de acá.
Hay de todo. Está el cofre, tío. Hay 250 aquí, Hay uno aquí arriba y uno abajo.
Hay una cámara aquí también. Una pizza. Vamos por el tesoro, ¿no? Sí. Poco lejos, pero bueno.
¿Tenéis tesoro?
Sí, yo. No lo boto. Se va corriendo. Acá de oro. Aunque sea. Este fusil. Vamos a quedar. No hay nadie aquí, Qué horror.
Aquí ya no cae nadie. Están en la mítica, ¿verdad?
Sí, pero estoy buscando dónde está.
Plazas aquí, 2. Llevo 12 ya.
Plaza llevo 4.
Llevo 12 ya. Pues
Cógete mini, mini te iba a decir.
¿Este? ¿Está la fundación?
Bueno, yo no sé.
Ah, no,
A
está
ver,
aquí, está aquí.
puede
Abajo.
estar por aquí andando, Dani. Vamos a ver.
Está aquí, vení, ven.
Voy.
Lo matamos.
No, lluvia.
Venga.
Cuidado este tú. Está apuntando
Tres,
mucho.
dos.
¿Dónde está?
Ah, no, este no es. ¿Cuál es? Ah, este de aquí arriba es.
No.
Me cae de oro ahí.
Se me ha quedado todo pillado tú. Ahora. Él tampoco es.
Estará por ahí por el camino afuera. Seguro.
Tampoco.
A ver, sí.
O la playa a lo mejor.
No le veo, tío.
Se ha perdido, yo creo.
Está por aquí, que estoy escuchando la música ahí.
Aquí, Dani. Mira, bro.
¡Hostia! Estoy encima sobre.
¡No, no, no!
Eran...
Vamos, Dani.
Ah, que tengo tropas.
Vamos, Dani.
Está bueno. Hay aquí que ha dropeado un pura soda este. Una bala de escopeta me he quedado, ¿sabes? ¿Tenéis?
Ahí soda.
Toma.
Echaron la soda esa. Necesitamos el placer. Fallo el otro derecha, ¿no?
¿Queréis el coso este mítico? Estoy lleno de muchas balas,
A mí me gusta más el AK.
Fallo por ahí. Una avispa legendaria que no sé dónde, tío. Me falta el pasto, ya me lo termino. Ojo, Ángel, va a terminar. Después de un montón de horas, tú. Qué locura. 17 horas, estoy todo loco.
Gente,
¿Dónde? Madre mía.
por aquí. En zona. Está guay.
Y tú casi también.
Iba a decir eso.
Ese sí que está guay.
Viene por detrás. ¿Lo has matado?
Venga,
Coroneli.
a casa.
Coronita.
Corona.
Coronita.
Corona. $500 balas de su fusil. Más gente.
¿Dónde?
Lo escucho por atrás. Con el pierna.
Era yo el del stream, a mí, tío.
Ay.
Jimmy está dormido,
Sí.
Hay una jugada 50 ahí. La verdad es que sí, dice.
Ok, nos vamos a desmayar.
Ahora sí a marcar Spiderman, El Dani. Vamos para allá, ¿no? Sí. Eres Dani, lo ves, ¿no? Joder, me han rebullado allí, ¿no?
Que no para de dar
por
vuelta.
aquí, tú. Una llama ha sonado por aquí, Dani, No sé dónde, bro. Puta madre, loco.
¿Dónde?
Y ya corriendo, ¿quién está corriendo por ahí, a ver? Mira, por aquí que va a la zona, ¿verdad? Ahora sí, papi, vámonos. A la vez. Han revivido aquí, ¿ves? 50, Yo no puedo.
No, es que... Bueno, dejo los splares.
Pero ahí también, pero bueno. Estamos todos de acuerdo, tío.
La gente con Spiderman aquí. A mí.
¿Qué dices? Mira, esta salida, bro, que me va a pelar y todo. ¡Oh, no dispara, loco! ¿What? Me pelan, tú. What the fuck, hermano.
Por favor.
Ahí vamos. Ven, no me van a matar si puede. GG.
Un toque, Dani.
Un tiro,
Me deja guay.
Si no tiene cura verde se muere el chaval, yo creo,
Se ha ido con Spiderman, creo.
Joder, todo el rato reinando.
Yo también.
A ver a qué hora empieza West. A las 3 el West. Guay, sin más, dame, tío. Anda que te he dado de la llama, yo. Joder. ¿Qué F?
No sabía ni que habías pillado una llamada.
Sí, ahora. En el fondo, lo último.
Malísimo, tío.
Por abajo. Atrás, loco.
Pero este juego, tío, que no digo las cosas, hermano.
Qué rabia, tío. Sí, vale.
Es una sin material. No me da cuenta.
Al igual no tengo nada que hacer. Así que me da igual estar en directo o fuera de directo. Yo me quedaré un poquito jugando y ahora me veré seguro la FNCS. La de Web la quiero ver.
Oye, Juan, Yelti.
Sí, utilizas.
Yelti es una bestia, pero importante,
Sí. Creativo más todavía. Boss fight de ese pillo es una bestia.
Yo creo que ahora me voy a hacer algo para cenar y me voy a poner a ver.
No los pones.
Cuando
Yo igual, yo me pondré a verlo seguro.
Voy a 700 de qué guapo, tío.
Uy. Me he caído en un árbol.
¿Qué?
Que me he caído en un árbol.
¿Qué estás jugando? ¿De la cama o qué?
Sí.
Tapado y todo, que lo jugando.
Sí. Te tengo sentido.
¿Puedes jugar tumbado y todo? No puedo.
Sí.
Tumbado sí juegas y todo.
He jugado varias veces. Lo que pasa es que tengo una tele grande.
Claro, la mía es pequeñita.
Anónimo el pavo, ¿sabes?
No tiene premios fijo.
En tu casa seguro que no.
Puto Jimmy, tío. Roji, esto, tío, que queda ahí en la casa. Vale, lagazo. Padre mío.
Me pilla la escopeta.
Menudo lagazo. Ya me lo termino, gente, dice por ahí Ángel. Qué campeón, chaval, mazo horas. Estoy haciendo un dibujo, qué loco está, tío.
Dibujo.
Espero que consigas la batería esa, ¿eh? De música, Ángel, tío. Es tu ilusión, bro. Encima estás estudiando mazo. Ojalá la consigas, tío. Oye, oye, oye. Oye, oye. Oye, oye, mira ese por ahí también. Están programados.
¿Cómo Dani? Es toda rusa.
Corre. Corre. Gratillo. Corre, gratillo. Se me lleva
¿Y el coco este? Menos más.
Estoy bien, escudo, ahí va. Crack. Ha sacado la pan ya. Una pesada, tú.
Literalmente, el pavo que te estaba disparando a ti me ha llegado la bala a mí, ¿sabes?
Imagínate, bro. Toma, Jimmy, tengo un mini, bro.
Por abajo. Ahí también.
Ya está. Tremendo bot. No creo que no llevaba ni arma, bro.
Madre.
Lo que no sé por qué a veces salen anónimos, tío. No,
No me ha parecido ver un paso ahí. El bot. Creo que es este. ¿Es este? No, claro.
Tengo bombona.
bombona. Todos quieren.
Otra vez el pavo estaba como por aquí, ¿no? No va a quedar el pavo este de mí.
Ah, peligroso. Sí, Dani.
Yo no me pongo en medio, yo no hago de cebo. Bueno,
Te intento matar. Es que yo creo que no me va a matar,
Te va a pelar, Dani. Coge altura, si no, bro. Porque desde abajo va a costar, Y si no, toma, te voy preparando esto.
yo tengo un bote.
Que tengo flyer. Es una broma.
¿Dónde está?
Hay que ir a zona, Buah, si no llevamos ni spray, esto ni...
Ostras.
Ni nada, bro.
Déjalo, Dani.
Mira la zona, tú.
Sí que es verdad que se nos complica un poco lo que viene siendo el game,
Yo tomo el pote. Tengo lanzadera.
Bueno, ahora se entera de aquí. Hola.
Oh.
Ya está, ahí llegamos.
Ya salimos, ¿no? Ahí están dando con los bots,
Yo.
Vale, estoy Jimmy.
No, que hay otro.
Ten cuidado, Dani, están saliendo de zona,
Me han disparado.
Gente volando,
¿Dónde?
No me complico. Si se nos complica nos vamos al lanzadero.
Sí.
Necesito la escopeta de por aquí.
Seguro. Salen azules muchos de aquí. No, lo visto, Jimmy, ¿es el obispo, bro?
Que hay un mapa aquí. Ah, no, esto es un mapa por culo. Está dentro de zona, pero está al lado,
A ver, un segundo.
Vamos a coger el plomo este y nos vamos. Se va a tirar, espera, se va a tirar.
Seguro, sí. Todo loco.
La vuelta ahí, ¿no?
En piso se están pegando.
Para que te consigas subir en el diamante. Sí. Mira, por la grieta.
No, estoy digo con el bicho ese.
Mira, le pega, bajando el frente.
Hostia,
Vamos con el...
no hay un trío, chaval. Hay un trío.
Compitiendo,
Joder,
todo,
tío.
No, no, vamos.
Qué cuadro, bro. Gigi. 90 le di, tío.
Muerto
Venga,
uno.
vamos.
Hay uno,
Venga,
creo.
otro.
Venga, otro.
Tiene otro. Qué rabia, tío.
Hostia. Por arriba.
Hay explosivos abajo, pero da igual. Se pone algo.
Ah, la apañó.
aquí otro. Putos pesados spames,
¿Y Ángel que se puso de foto? No me he fijado. Es un pajarillo, ¿no? Un pajarito.
Tienes mucha piedra, Dani.
No, Ángel, ¿tu foto de YouTube qué es? Un pajarito, ¿no?
Me vas a caer, tío. Mucha gente. Pavo, tío. Desde lejos.
Vamos al lobby. Que prefiero hasta cuando completar, tío. Somos 3. Es que tríos, tío. Gente enferma, en tríos. No sé por qué, bro.
Está loco, tío.
Estás loco, tío. A ver, espera que le dé listo primero yo, pero un segundo, chicos, no lo deis todavía. A ver. Vamos a jugar aquí. Vamos para allá. Cambiar esta skin ya. No sé qué ponerme, a ver. Un pingüino, yo creo, ¿eh? Ah, pues un pingüino.
El killer, yo creo que tienes que estar entre las personas que más nivel tienen,
¿Qué más?
El tienen.
Emojis, besos, dices.
No, nivel de...
Ah, nivel. No, habrá gente en el 500, yo creo, ¿eh? Porque piensa que yo estoy casi en el 400. Si me hubiese comprado 100 niveles, estaría en el 500, bro. O sea que tiene que haber gente con más nivel que yo. Ah, ponme el pingüino. A ver. No, no me dio tiempo, bro. Solo dio tiempo la mochila, F. F. Ah, Dani, podemos hacer lo del taxi, tío. Lo del coche, bueno, el coche. Subir arriba. Lo del coche, tío. Me quedan minutos. Vamos para allá. Dime.
Así.
Aquí es. Sí.
¿Aquí o aquí?
Donde queráis. Me da igual.
Aquí mejor no ves donde hay coches y todo.
Va a haber coches de los dos lados. Recordad que se juega, ¿eh? 6-4.
Nada.
Son malos, igual.
Bueno, nosotros también somos 4. Jimmy, Dani, yo y el pingüino.
El pingüino juega con los pies, si me da cuenta. Que cae uno, Jimmy.
¿Hay uno ahí?
Sí, pero seguro que puedo.
Sí, sí, sí.
No puedo, te puedo.
Botticelli.
A pico. ¿Dónde está? Ahí yo bot. Tío, venía directo a por mí a darme pitazos, así que no era...
Puede ser, No era bot, ¿tú crees, Jimmy?
Yo creo que no. Ha venido directo a por mí.
Tengo uno aquí,
Hostia, huevo, lo puso tú.
No, sí, bot también, pero tío.
Toma, está tesoro.
Falta uno por aquí, por rematar. Falta uno por rematar.
Mira que hay otro, tiene otro.
¿Otro? ¿Puedo picar esto? Bueno. Vale, lo del coche hay que hacer, chicos. A ver si... ¿No hay coche aquí? ¿En serio? Mira que lo habéis dicho, tío. Joder. Nada, soy nena, seguro, Dani.
Sí,
Mira que lo habéis dicho, no lo va a ver.
Sí, ahí no. Sí. ¿Qué hay que hacer?
Nada. Que me llevéis y yo encima del coche. Espera,
Jimmy.
Vamos ahí, Pues... He vuelto. A ver, ¿lleva gasolina? Sí. Intenta ir por la cartera.
¿Qué hay que hacer?
No, yo ir encima. A ver.
Ah,
A cierta distancia de ti sobre un coche también. Es para hacer todas las misiones. Todas las fases. Tengo todo esto menos esto y árboles. Los árboles me quedan pocos. Llevo 7.000. Quedan 3.000 y me dan 8.000. Spearman. Hostia, arriba ahí también, tío. Si le huele. Claro, también tengo la experiencia a ti, bro. ¿Cuántas tienes, Jimmy?
¿Qué?
A ver.
Me cae.
¿Cuántas tiene?
7.
¿7? Ese karateca, bienvenido.
Va a caer, dile.
Ojo, ojito, como lo ha visto el Dani. Llegué tarde, no te preocupes, Tiago, al igual, nunca es tarde, bro. Bienvenido, tío. Qué crack, ¿cómo lo ha visto? Ahí va, ahí va, ahí va. Ahí va.
La robadiña.
¿Terminaste, Angelito? Te mereces unos aplausos, Ángel, la verdad, 18 horas, bro. Pues descansa, bro, ahora, tío.
Colombo. Hola. No, killer.
Vale, vente.
Va por mí.
Corre, montar, que va a lanzar esto, corre, vámonos. Monta, corre, Jimmy. No. Corre. Sube, vámonos. Corre.
Es que ¿para qué me disparas, chulo? Está loco, Colombo.
Y Ángel, al igual, si quieres mandar una foto de tu trabajo y luego lo checo yo, bro. Tiene que ser chido, para 18 horas, bro, joder.
Toma, Killer, toma de esto.
No, son 50 me llevo el pez.
Probada.
Gente. Ha partido verde. Mira el otro.
Teniendo Colombo. Adiós, supo este tío.
¿Alguien se puede llevar esto?
Viene el compa,
Peter.
Viene el compa por ahí, chavales.
Son dos, lo agachadito.
Bueno, se ha jugado esto. ¿Cómo lo ha contado? Sí,
Es uno, ¿no?
Ahí
Tengo la cara de...
Vente acá. Una vida esta, tío. Este de aquí conmigo.
Lo fallo. Toma placer, Dani.
Pero dame más.
Tío, eso ha sido tú, bro. Buena, uno de los dos ahí. Bueno, Dani. Arriba otra vez.
Vete.
¡Oh!
Malo.
Qué sacadote, Dani, GG, bro. Nada, está muerto. Una balita. Ahí, métete en el árbol. Nada, van a venir. Vete en... eso es. Y cuida la zona, Dani,
Hay una gente ahí.
Gente ahí, loco, madre. Y otro ahí atrás.
Mira, coge botiquines ese chaval.
La lanzadera. Échate minis antes de saltar. ¡Uah!
Sí, hombre, que tengo tres detrás.
Sí, pero podía, ¿no? Te da tiempo, ¿no? Yo creo.
Ni de coña, vamos.
¿No? Estaban pegando. Échate minis, Dani.
Es que digo, ¿cómo no está todo?
Buah, está así de vida, tío.
Encima soltar las escopeta por los putos flashes, que lo he cogido sin querer, tío. Ah, que me persigue. No. Y eso es el vídeo.
Ahora me voy a hacer yo creo un squid con magdalenas o algo.
Ojo.
Y a ver la hacemos de eso. Chill. ¿Te cargan o no? Yo tampoco. Mira, hay uno, duda.
¿Has visto?
No. Están aquí, justo abajo hay otros. Dani, debajo tuya hay otros.
Ya.
Creo.
Creo que antes he visto por aquí en escopeta, tío. Ojalá eso.
Los barriles ahí.
Ah, bueno, buen Fortnite.
Vale. Ok, Fortnite. Nada, se niega a peces, Dani. Ahí adelante. 100%. Pícala. Bueno, hay gente ahí loco.
Gracias, Fortnite.
Gracias, Fortnite. Dice, un peso menos. Bueno, ¿cómo fue el directo? Bien, Angelito. Vamos a terminar esta partida, yo creo, y nos vamos a ir a tomarnos un squid con galletas o con magdalenas. Con bollos, al igual. Y vamos a ir a ver a YELI, yo creo, fuera directo. A ver qué hace. Señorito Jesús. Jesús Espinoza. En la máquina mini, Dani. A lo mejor. Obispo o lo que sea.
Ah, cura.
Claro. Bravo. Yo te quiero, ¿sabes?
Si no hay ni una puta escopeta en toda la serinera, tío.
Nada, ¿no? Ni guarras de confeti. Joder.
No.
Ah, lo que estaba yo buscando antes también, Y no había. He venido de aquí a eso. No había escopeta.
Personalmente.
Allí tampoco en el loot ese de ahí.
Que va. Se acabó esto.
Qué feo. Yo creo que quedan 11 y tú mira la zona, bro. No sé qué juega la gente, tío. El barril ese sí tiene, si lo parte, bro. Te pone full.
No, si vida ya tengo, pero lo que me falta es material y una escopeta. Si te das cuenta me he quedado justo con 500 de madera,
Pasé la mayoría del directo haciendo proyecto en Ángel. No te preocupes, bro. Eso es más importante, tío. Yo siempre lo digo, eso es más importante la tarea que ver el directo, tío. Al igual lo puedes ver subido, lo puedes ver otro día. Eso no hay problema, tío. A ver si la gana Dani esta partida. Y nos vamos a ver ahí, tío.
Dani, puedes hasta revivir, chaval, pero yo creo que habrá esta gente.
Que va, no me merece la
pues
pena.
porque le van a caer. En cuanto suene, espéralo, vamos a ver. Lleva unas cuantas kills. Todo el rato con su fusil, tío. Hay un drop ahí a la derecha, Dani. Bueno, ese loot interesa ahora. Hay uno arriba a la izquierda, arriba. Sufu, dorado.
¿Cómo absorbe eso?
De escopetita. Eso es.
Fusil también de legendario.
Joder, tío.
No, te ha quitado poco. Te ha quitado 12. Está todo recargado, ¿no? No seas maldito. No del suelo. Vaya partidita, bro. ¿Cómo están las públicas, tío? Qué nivelazo hay.
Todavía 9.
O sea, hay un nivelazo en las públicas, tú. ¿Cómo está, chaval? ¿Cómo estás, Fortnite, tú?
¿Qué Fortnite?
Se cae. Yo, Dani.
Hostia puta, tío. Estoy ya fuera de unos pocos.
Cuidado si te tiran, Dani,
Cuidado con
Sube. Mira ese, bro. Buah, chaval.
Y enseñado, seguro mucha gente, tío.
Mira, sniper ahí, abajo. Mini Dani. Que mira, no se muere nadie, tú. Quedan 9 todavía, what? Y ese squad de esto, Dani, pero una squad completa. 3 equipos.
No puedo.
Pero
Qué pesado el enemigo, tú.
voy a quedar inactivo con el...
Qué pena, tío.
Me ha lagueado que flipas, tío.
Te la has quedado.
Pero,
GG.
¿cuál es que jugaba, hermano? O sea, yo creo que jugaba a las damas.
GG. Pues chicos, yo creo que vamos a despedir el directo por aquí, chavales. Nos vamos a ir a ver al señorito Yelty. Así que nada, cracks. Señorito Jimmy, Dani y Ángel, que está por ahí por el chat, que es un jefe. Que paséis buena noche, que descanséis, chavales, y nos vemos en el directo de mañana. ¿No, chicos?
¿Qué vas o qué vas a hacer?
Sí, me voy a ir, chavales. Voy a ir a hacerme algo de un vaso de leche o algo. Y a ver el... No, Yelty lo pondré en la tele y me tumbaré tranquilamente.
Pues
Sí,
no,
mándalo, Angelito, manda la foto, bro. Luego la checo yo. Pues nada, chicos, que paséis buena noche, que descanséis. Jimmy, Dani,
Igualmente.
nos vemos mañana. Chao, bro.
Chao.
Y nada, chicos, al igual Ángel, que está por ahí también. Que paséis buena noche, que descanséis. Gracias por haber estado por el directo, chavales. Luego mándame el proyecto, Ángel, que si quieres le echo un ojo. Y nada, cracks, nos vemos en el directo de mañana, chicos. Bye.